warm welcome to day 2 of the Speed Tour from the beautiful and idyllic Virginia International Raceway. Great racing yesterday, and we've got a packed card of racing again this weekend, including historics, all the group racing from SVRA. We've also got Trans Am in action, 2 feature races from them, and the championship very much on the line in both the feature TA and TA2 races. But also, we've got the single-seaters, the youngsters in action from FR Americas and F4 Americas. And these are the youngsters all looking for super license points to try and get on the road to Indy or even to Formula One. All the stars of the future here in action this weekend at VIR. But the other star, of course, the track itself. Let's take a closer look with John Phippen.
As the drivers flash across start-finish at VIR, they come to the best overtaking opportunity, the horseshoe. The little kink at 2, then NASCAR, left hook, into the snake. Then every driver's favorite section, the climbing S's, leading into the iconic Oak Tree Bend. The long back straightaway provides another passing opportunity into roller coaster, steeply downhill, then into hog pen, and back onto the pit straightaway. That's the 3.27-mile, 18-turn lap at Virginia International Raceway. The F4 cars will do it in about 1:55 seconds.
Well, I'm down on the pre-grid, and it's another beautiful day here at VIR, and we've got a great grid set. And if you are interested, the grid is set by the first fastest lap of the last race, which means
sadly a little issue with Johnny's microphone down on pit resolved. Hi, I'm John Phippen speaking to you from the commentary booth overlooking the front straightaway here at Virginia International Raceway. This will be the final race of the weekend for the F4 U.S. Championship powered by Honda. The points battle could not be closer. Matt Clark and Noel Leon are only 2.5 points apart after 14 of 17 races. And then Nico Christodoulou in third spot is only another 14 points back. So 16 points separating the top 3. Jason Alder still mathematically in the hunt. He's another 15 points back in fourth spot. And the last driver who is mathematically eligible with 75 points still on offer, including today's race, would be Matt Christensen in the number 5 car for Jay Howard. But the real battle is at the front between Noel Leon and Matt Clark. Mac, a 5-time winner on the season. Noel, a 2-time winner. And that consistency on Noel's part, he has been in the points every race save one. Has given him the opportunity to eke out a tiny advantage. He finished third in both races there this weekend, but unfortunately was assessed a penalty after race number 1, and that dropped him back to 8th position and made this points battle just as close as you like. 3 rounds left, 75 points on offer, 25 points for the win, 18 for second, 15 for third, all the way down to a single point for 10th place, We've got 25 drivers about ready to take the grid. 1 driver has withdrawn from this race. That was Kerrong Lee from Boston, Massachusetts for Jensen Global Advisors. He is making his first start with us here this weekend and will not be taking the start, we understand, in this morning's race, should we say. And so we've got 25 drivers surviving who will be taking to the track. Sounds like we might have Johnny's microphone issue resolved. So we'll head down trackside. So sorry. I just now getting information that we're still having some problems with Johnny's mic. So we're going to do a track walk as we head down. Tony, the cameraman, giving us these great images of our front runners. As Noel, that's Matt Clark, the man who is second in the points, looking for the opportunity to score in front of Noel Leon and perhaps take over the points lead in the championship. As we have 2 rounds left after today's race at Circuit of the Americas in front of the world stage. as we support the Formula One World Championship at Circuit of the Americas. Chloe Chambers with a fantastic job yesterday, qualified third on the road. Chloe for Future Star Racing, one of our PMH Powering Diversity Scholarship winners, doing a great job turning the third fastest lap in yesterday's race, and that will start her inside of row number 2 for the finale of the weekend for these F4 US drivers. Another driver involved in the championship battle, the 77 of Jason Alder. Jason will start alongside Chloe in 4th spot for the race. Jason has a win already this weekend, taking the top spot in the first race of the weekend, and he would love to close that points gap to Nico Christodoulou in front of him. Chase Gardner in the 33 car, also in the top 6. Chase in that 33 car. Excuse me, that's the 19. Forgive me, that's Noel Leon, the points leader. And there's the 66 car of our pole sitter, and that's Ryan Sheehan out of Horseshoe Bay, Texas. Ryan for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport once again had a great lap in yesterday's race, and that put him into the pole position for today's race. Again, the grids are set based on the fast lap turned in the race previous. So race number 2, the fast lap turned by Ryan Sheehan, as he had a little issue in the race and had some clear track to be able to turn a clean lap, and a great job for Ryan to put it on the pole for today's race. We're moments away from rolling the Honda Civic Type R pace car away from the false grid, and they'll bring the cars out for their formation lap. For those of you unfamiliar with the F4 US Championship and Formula Regional Americas, we do use a Formula One style standing start for these drivers, so they will make their way around behind the safety car and then line up here in their grid positions on the front straightaway. And the countdown lights will begin, and we will get this race underway. It's 30 minutes in duration. There's no lap count. It's strictly a timed race, and that will determine who's going to have the championship lead as we go into our final 2 rounds of the season, coming up in just about a month's time at Circuit of the Americas, again, alongside the U.S. Grand Prix. Down on the pit lane. Johnny?
So I'm down on the pre-grid, and the story's getting really good. It's a beautiful day here at VIR again. Noel Leon leads the championship, but the gap is tiny now because Matt Clark, after that win, is now just a couple of points away from the lead of the championship. So this is an important race for both Noel Leon and Matt Clark. Jason Alder's in the fight as well, but how about this? We've been waiting in Austin, Texas, and you know I do the Formula One, but we've never had one of our own on the grid at Formula One doing the business. Ryan Sheehan from Austin, Texas is on pole for this race. Ryan, how excited are you to be on pole just a couple of weeks away from COTA?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think it's been a long time coming, and
how do you feel about the race? You feel you couldn't get it?
Yeah, hope so.
How's the track running? Is it slippy or is it grippy?
It's pretty grippy. Fun track, and I think we'll have fun today.
Listen, there's a lot of people behind you. Best of luck. Keep your head down and go for it. So, first time on pole position for Ryan Sheehan. A full host of drivers all wanting to get a win here with the time running out and the championship on the line. Back to you, John Fippin.
Thanks, Johnny. Absolutely right. Great to see Ryan Sheehan on the pole for the first time in his career, as Noel Leon in the prime position right alongside him to perhaps extend his points lead, as it is just razor thin. As we mentioned, only 2.5 points between he and Matt Clark as we come into this round 15 of the season. You can see the field as that's the countdown before we roll the Honda Civic Type R safety car away on the formation lap. As we mentioned, Matt Christensen in the number 5 car for Jay Howard Driver Development, the last driver still mathematically in the championship hunt. He'll start a little deeper in the pack, back in 12th position. Nico Christodoulou, the other driver who did not get the lap time he was hoping for in yesterday's race, despite the fact that he finished on the podium in second. He only turned the 14th quickest lap, so he'll be back outside of row number 7. But there's the 26 of Matt Clark, the man who is scrambling to catch up to Noel Leon, who's had the points lead for some time now. But Mac has won 5 races. He's got the most wins. He's had 2 other podiums, and that's put him in a position to challenge for the points championship. As there's Chase Gardner from Prosper, Texas, in the 33 car for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport. Thumbs up from Chase. He will start right alongside Matt Clark in that 3rd row. Moving back to row number 4, there's the 39 of Bryson Morris. Bryson only in his 2nd weekend of racing with us. And at Brainerd, at our last venue, Bryson came through with his 1st win of the season. Had a 3rd and a 1st in the 3 races at Brainerd. He's had a pair of 7th place finishes here today. And interesting where he'll start this race in 7th position inside of row number 4. Gabriel Fonseca will take the position alongside him. Gabriel out of Sao Paulo, Brazil for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport as well. So once the pace car pulls away, we'll introduce the drivers for you when they head around on their formation lap. Again, 25 drivers about to take the green flag here. We've had 2 exciting races already this weekend. Good, close racing by all of the drivers. We've had minimal of safety car periods. Hopefully I'm not doing the commentator's curse here, and we'll have a safety car in this race. But good, close racing. But the drivers have been giving each other room, and Scott Goodyear, our race director, has to be pleased. As we can see the cars now rolling away from the false grid. So let's do the formal introductions, if you will. As we mentioned, Kae-Rong Lee from Boston, Massachusetts, and Jensen Global Advisors will not be taking the start of the race. So starting alone in row 13 will be the 18 of Maxwell Jameson from Houston, Texas for D-Force Racing. Up into row number 12, we have the 99 of Emily Linscott. She is the other recipient of our PMH Powering Diversity Scholarship. The 99 car out of Langdon Hills, Essex, Great Britain. She is driving for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport. Next to her, welcome back to Will Edwards from Greenwood, Indiana, and Alliance Racing, the 28 car, doing a partial season with us this year. Great to have him back in the field. Oscar Haffar, the French-born driver, currently making his home in Mamaroneck, New York for Jensen Global Advisors, carries number 1 on his machine. Next to him is the 23 out of Leon, Mexico, driving for Gonella Racing. He's the teammate to Matt Clark. Row 10 has the 03 of Hayden Bowlesby out of Folsom, Louisiana. Hayden driving for Velocity Racing Development in the second half of this season. Next to him is the 25 of Joseph Dinelli from Long Beach, California. Joseph also driving for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport. Moving up into row number 9 on the outside, car 17, Jose Andres Martinez out of Monterrey, Mexico. M&M Energy sponsors Jose's car. Next to him is the number 2 of Jake Bonilla, another Texan out of San Antonio for Jensen Global Advisors. In row 8, we've got the 98 of Lucas St. Jean out of Lorraine, Quebec, Canada for the iCar Canada team. And next to him, the driver making his first start with us, who's been on the pace all weekend long, Christian Weir in the 31 out of Naperville, Illinois for Turn 3 Motorsport and Gonella Racing. The man who is currently 3rd in the points, starting a little deeper in the field than he'd like, that's the 22 of Nico Christodoulou out of Maple, Ontario, Canada for Velocity Racing Development. His teammate alongside is the 29 of Eric Evans. Eric also from Johns Creek, Georgia. Eric raced with us last season, but this is his first start in the 2021 campaign. In row 6, the number 5 of Matt Christensen, the last driver mathematically still in the championship hunt, out of Orlando, Florida for J. Howard Driver Development. Next to him, the 36 of Justin Arsenault from Marin Heights, Quebec, Canada. He's the second of the iCar Canada. In row 5 on the outside is car 4, Seth Foley from Elk Ridge, Maryland, also for J. Howard Driver Development. Next to him, car 20, Victor Andersson from Linköping, Sweden for Crosslink Kiwi. A pair of Crosslink Kiwi teammates occupy row 4. The 76 is Gabriel Fonseca from Sao Paulo, Brazil And the 39 is Bryson Morris out of Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Again, the driver with a win at Brainerd in his first weekend of racing with us. Chase Gardner will start outside of row 3 in the 33 out of Prosper, Texas. Next to him will be the 26 of Matt Clark, the man who is second in the points by the slimmest of margins out of Campbellville, Ontario, Canada for Ganella Racing. Jason Alder, a 3-time winner on the season with a win already this weekend, will start outside of row 2 in the 77 car out of Cookeville, Maryland for Velocity Racing Development. And next to him with her best qualifying performance of the season, car number 8, Chloe Chambers out of Monroe, New York for Future Star Racing. She is the second recipient of our PMH Powering Diversity Scholarship. And now for your front row, the points leader, the number 19 of Noel Leon from Monterrey, Mexico, and D-Force Racing, the reigning NACAM 2020 champion, looking to clinch the championship with 3 races remaining. And finally, Ryan Sheehan with his first pole, starting at the front in the 66 car out of Horseshoe Bay, Texas for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport. That's your 25 car starting grid as the front row just now coming onto the pit straightaway here. They'll come to a stop in their assigned grid positions. We use the Formula One style light gantry. There will be 5 illuminate at 1 second intervals, and then a random amount of time expires and those lights go out, and that's the indication to the drivers that it's time to go. Jonathan Green has sprinted up the spiral staircase into the crow's nest here.
Feel like Rapunzel.
Exactly. As we can see the last few rows of the grid just now rolling into their grid positions.
John, I'm excited. I love it when the championship's on the line.
Oh, absolutely. It could not be closer. Only 16 points separating the top 3 and 2.5 points separating the top 2. So this one is going to go right down to the wire. The second race at COTA is going to decide this championship, you can be certain. The light sequence has begun. You can hear the engines up on the rev limiter. 5 lights, and they're out, and they're away, and a good start from Noel Leon as he goes side by side with Ryan Sheehan as they head down toward the horseshoe turn for the first time. Leon doing exactly what he needed to do, which is get in front of this field and hopefully keep all his championship contenders behind him, and that's what he's done so far. But Matt Clark sliding right up, or excuse me, Chloe Chambers sliding right up in there into second. She's still battling with Ryan Sheehan for that spot. Ryan dives to the inside at NASCAR and will retake that second spot. Chloe in the third spot, and then behind her, Jason Alder and Matt Clark going after it.
Yeah, it was a strange start because Ryan Sheehan got off the line well. Oh, we've got problems. Bonier's gone round, another Texan act.
Actually, that's the one car of Oscar Haffar.
Yeah, I always look at that car and think of Bonnier.
Yeah, Oscar Haffar in the one has spun it right at the horseshoe, and at the moment, unfortunately, that might bring out a full course caution, but we'll wait for race control to make those decisions, and he's calling for the safety car, and that is going to do it. As right now they're still under green, but the safety car has been asked to stand up, and it looks like we may well have a safety car period here right at the onset.
Yeah, just what I was saying is that it looked like it was a really good start from Ryan, but then he kind of bogged, once he got off the line, he kind of bogged down a bit, and then Noel Leon sprinted ahead of him. Chloe Chambers almost attempted to get past him too. She got past him, but Ryan came back, as you saw there. So, yeah, great start from Noel Leon, just what he needed, given the championship being on the line, and just a couple of points between him and Matt Clark.
Exactly right. As you can see, the corner marshal holding the full course yellow sign indicating that we are behind the safety car. The drivers also have a warning light on their dashboard that the race director can illuminate with a switch in his control booth, which basically alerts the drivers just as soon as the yellow flag has been called. And again, this is for Oscar Haffar, who had a spin down at the horseshoe turn and stalled the motor, apparently not able to get it refired, and he will need some assistance to get that car back underway. So as the field makes their way down the hill through Hogpen and onto the front straightaway.
Tell you what, John, being out there a lot warmer this morning than it was yesterday morning, and I think therefore that may. Here's another look at what I was talking about. Look, Ryan gets off the line well, but look at Noel.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, just didn't quite have the acceleration once he got off the line, and then here comes Chloe Chambers alongside, making it behind him as they go into that first turn. Oscar Haffar was a little deeper in the field. You can see the brake lock up there as those cars came together. And Oscar ended up stranded there at the entrance to the horseshoe turn, the first turn on the racetrack. So Noel Leon survived the first lap with the lead. Jason Alder all the way up to second. That's a great start for Jason after starting.
I have to say, of all those guys
back
out
and
there,
forth.
of all the guys out there, the guy most likely to challenge Leon for the championship, I think, is Alder and Matt Clark. And they're right where they need to be. Alder in second, Matt Clark in fourth position, and a restart. Both of them good at that, but so does Noel Leon as well. So.
Yeah, Ryan Sheehan in the third spot, Matt Clark in fourth, Chloe Chambers in fifth, Chase Gardner in sixth, Bryson Morris seventh, Gabriel Fonseca eighth, Victor Anderson ninth, Justin Arsenault 10th. Matt Christensen is back in 11th spot. Nico Christodoulou all the way back in 15th, so he has not picked up any ground yet on this very first lap. And again, if he's going to keep his podium streak alive, he has 4 consecutive second-place finishes going back to our most recent race round at Brainerd. So Nico Christodoulou's got some work ahead of him if he's going to get on the podium for this one and keep his championship hopes alive going into our final venue of the season at Circuit of the Americas. See the cars still weaving back and forth, trying to get and keep some temperature into the tires. Normally at race pace, it takes a couple laps to get these Hankook slicks up to operating temperature. So on a cool morning like we have had so far this weekend, it's tough for these drivers to get temperature into these tires. But as Jonathan said, it's a little bit, ambient temperature a little bit higher here this morning, and there's already been one race, a 1 hour enduro on the track from our SVRA partners, and that is giving these drivers maybe a little bit of a leg up in the traction department.
Yeah. No question about it. Well, I'm also looking for the likes of Chase Gardner, Bryson Morris, who are 6th and 7th. With this restart, there's a good chance of somebody getting into the horseshoe harder, faster than the previous time. And it always, you know, I really like the opening salvo of VIR under a rolling start, because it really is anybody's race to get to that horseshoe.
Yep.
Because there's enough time to make, if you make a good start, to really do something special. And you can go around the outside, you can go around the inside. So.
Listening to race control admonishing the drivers to mind their P's and Q's on the restart. We're not going to get it this time. As you can see, the light's still on the safety car as the recovery work at the horseshoe continues. But Scott Goodyear stays on top of these young drivers, reminding them to give each other racing room, be situationally aware. That's a term that he loves to use.
Yeah.
And know where you are and where the competitors are around you. It's defensive driving for racers, if you will, for want of a better term. And it takes nothing away from the aggression, but just a little bit more awareness of where the other cars are. And a lot of these drivers coming right out of go-karting, which is, you know, smaller car, obviously. And there's a little argy-bargy that goes on in kart racing, and they have to learn that when they get up into a full-size open-wheel car like this, they can't do that. They've got to be a little more respectful of their other competitors.
Yeah, you can bang wheels in karting, but once you touch a wing or a pod in F4, is that the lights out?
Yeah, lights have gone out late. Normally the lights are out on the back straightaway, but apparently the decision's been made that we're going to get the restart this time by. Noel Leon weaving back and forth. He has control of the field, and he can accelerate anytime he wishes, and he has done so right there in the final turn onto the front straightaway. Leon with a good jump as we are back under green flag conditions. Great battle for third spot as Matt Clark and Ryan Sheehan go side by side. Clark with a nose ahead at the line. But here comes Jason Alder aggressively around the outside of our points leader, Noel Leon, at the horseshoe turn.
He's going to get try around the outside as Matt Clark. Sheehan goes on the inside. Good defensive driving, and he's just holding it for now, but a great battle. Literally, they're tied together as they head towards NASCAR. Same for first and second.
Absolutely. Leon still with the advantage. Alder right under his rear wing. Great shot here as they come into the left hook. That's a very tricky transition right into a left-hander, or right-hander, excuse me, into the snake. And then up the hill they go toward the climbing S's.
And if anything, Sheehan's holding off the rest of the field while these two now pull away, but he's trying to drive defensively. Matt Clark gets alongside him again, and they head up towards the hill again. It really is close for third place.
Jason,
side by side, look at this.
Oh, Clark stuffs his nose in there, and Sheehan drops a wheel off on the outside, but Clark gets it done. He's up to third, and now, as Jason Alder has taken over the point from Noel Leon. Clark now in third. Right behind him is Ryan Sheehan, and then I believe that's still Chloe Chambers just behind.
Important for Clark if he's going to try and win this race. Chloe Chambers very wide indeed. So was Weir then. Christian Weir putting a wheel off, but very important for Matt Clark to get through early because he will lose touch with these guys if he left at another lap. So important to get past.
3 wide down the back straightaway as they head toward another great passing opportunity into the braking zone for the steeply downhill roller coaster turn. As our leaders coming there, and we've got another spinner. The 18 car of Maxwell Jameson has gone around, and that looks to be at about halfway down the back straightaway. It's kind of a strange place to have a spin, but nonetheless, here we come to the start-finish line once again with a new leader, Jason Alder, taking over the top spot. Jason doing what he needs to do. He needs to win races if he is going to have a chance to close the points gap to the 3 drivers in front of him. Noel Leon in second, Matt Clark in third, but he's coming under a challenge from Ryan Sheehan. Sheehan not giving up easily.
No, and he's got the inside line too.
But Clark will have the inside line for
NASCAR.
And that he's able to hang on to that.
We've got another spinner and 2 cars off at the horseshoe. One going off into the grass, one staying on track, but turn round.
Battle between Sheehan and Matt Clark highlighted there for third and fourth position. As they come up the hill, Jason Alder still your leader. Noel Leon right behind him. Then the 39 of Bryson Morris. Right behind Morris, the 33 of Chase Gardner. Chloe Chambers has been shuffled back to 7th in that. There's the 5 of Matt Christensen, running in 11th position.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on Christensen, Weir, and Christodoulou. Those are the guys I'm expecting to come through, so I'll keep an eye on them.
Christodoulou back in 14th position right now. He's got to work his way forward, and you can see the cars off the pace. It appears, it looks like, as we've got that spun car.
So we're under safety again, obviously.
Yep, they have clearly decided to throw the full course yellow because of that stalled car in a very dangerous position. Probably dropped a wheel off at the exit of...
He did, yeah.
Yeah, the oak tree, and that's what caused the spin. So sadly, our second safety car period of this race, after such a great clean race, 2 good clean races yesterday, we've got a couple safety cars here in the early going of this one. We're already 10 minutes into the race, so a quick recap. Jason Alder is your leader. We'll wait till they come by the line in case there have been any position changes in the lap, a little deeper in the field that we may have missed. But Jason Alder out in front of Noel Leon. Here we're getting a replay of the spin for Maxwell Jameson. And there it is. Yep, he dropped a wheel off to the outside and around he went.
Yeah.
Fortunately, he was deep in the field, so there wasn't anybody immediately behind him after that spin, but unfortunately he wasn't able to get the car refired.
John, you get the feeling, we never want to see a stop, start, but I got a feeling that we haven't seen the best of this race yet, and there's been nothing major, so all of these incidents are clearable quickly, and I think we'll be underway again, and clearly the race control trying to get things going as quickly as possible. Let's take another look at the horseshoe. Watch out in the topper here as a couple of cars in the midstream. Here you go. One gets turned around, another takes avoiding action and goes off. Here we go.
But it looks like both of them were able to get going again. It was just the issue with the car of Maxwell Jameson on the back straight, which brought out this safety car period for the second time here. So Jason Alder, your leader, Noel Leon in second, Matt Clark in third, Ryan Sheehan in fourth, Bryson Morris making a good recovery as we expect, up to 5th spot, Chase Gardner in 6th, Chloe Chambers in 7th, Victor Anderson in 8th, Justin Arsenault in 9th, Christian Weir on his first weekend with us in 10th spot.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
Nico Christodoulou right behind him in 11th. So they have been working their way forward after not getting the best lap times in yesterday's race to give them good qualifying positions. A little deeper in the pack, Eric Evans. Eric making a start with us for the first time this season. He raced with us a year ago in that number 29 car and finished 6th in the championship. He had a win and a pair of podiums in last year's campaign, but has been racing elsewhere this year, but back with us for this race weekend. And I expect we might see him at Circuit of the Americas at our final race weekend coming up in about a month. Seth Foley, who's had a good weekend in that number 4 car, back in 14th spot. Lucas St. Jean, Hayden Bowlesby, Joseph Dinelli, Jake Bonilla, uncharacteristically a little deeper in the field, back in 18th. So
yeah, he's off the ball a bit.
Yeah, we look for Jake to be closer to the front for some reason. Matt Christensen all the way back in 23rd position. He may have been that spinner there at turn 1 on the last lap, because that's not where we normally see Matt. He is, like I say, 5th in the points championship, still mathematically in the hunt. He's had a 4th and a 5th place finish in the 2 races already this weekend, but he's got a tall mountain to climb to get near the top in this one, sadly, as we are 13 coming up on 14 minutes into the race, so that leaves 16 left, so we're not even at half distance.
No. This is their last race of the weekend, and crucial given they're going to Coda, and it's going to be a lot of, there's added pressure by the fact that they're on the Formula One calendar in front of a massive crowd, and with the championship on the line. So this is a really important race to set yourself up.
And here we go for the restart. Jason Alder brings them around. He's delaying his punch off just a bit. Now he's got his foot on the throttle as they make their way down the front straightaway, nose to tail.
Yeah, they really are. Nice clump there.
Matt Clark going to pop out, see if he can get around Noel Leon. And that's exactly what he needs to do. He needs to keep Leon behind him if he can to close the points gap.
Sheehan looking up the inside.
Yep. Clark on the outside. If he can hang on to that position, he'll have the inside line for NASCAR.
But he's had the door shut by Leon. So, 2 cars going off turn 1.
Bryson Morris and Chase behind to try to pick up positions. You can see Jason Alder with the green roll hoop at the front. Noel Leon still in that 2nd spot. Matt Clark behind him as they work their way through the snake and begin the blast into the climbing S's. Yeah, 2 cars off, and it's Matt Christensen again and the 28 of Will Edwards who've come together. Will doing a partial season with us this season.
That's not good for Matt Christensen's hopes.
Nope. That's going to pretty much scotch any chance he would have to stay in the championship hunt.
I hate to say it, but we're going to be under safety again if they're really stuck there.
Yeah, I think we are. You can see the lockup.
Oh, they came together, yeah.
Yeah, very early on under the braking.
So 3 cars involved, 1 got going again, but the drone tells it nicely. It was under braking going into the first corner.
Yeah, and sadly that looks to be the car that maybe precipitated the event, got away with it. They were on the inside with locked up brakes, and the drivers coming up alongside them got forced wide, and they came together and then off track. So this has been a stop-start affair.
Yeah, I've got my money on the Honda Civic for the most
laps.
Yeah,
I think the pace car driver is the points leader at the moment in this race. It's what we do not like to see.
Perfect conditions for racing. Maybe a little warmer, but really the track's rubbered in. Plenty of racing throughout the weekend. That's exactly what you want. And they've all got themselves dialed in. The conditions. I always think a weekend where you get really fast times is when there's no change in the weather dramatically, and everybody's kind of improving every time they go and do a lap and every time they do a session.
Exactly right. And, there's a little impatience that builds up over the course of the weekend. I mean, some of these drivers not getting the finish they had hoped for, and so they're throwing caution to the wind, if you will, being a little more aggressive in their moves because they realize they've got a future to contend with. Even if they're not in championship contention, there's still a lot to play for because the top 8 drivers in the championship earn FIA super license points at the end of the season. So those drivers just outside the chance for the championship still have plenty to play for. Bijoy Garge, who's not racing with us this weekend, is currently in 6th, but he's likely to lose that to Justin Arsenault. Arias Dugmajian, who's not racing with us, he's over in the FR series right now. Bryson Morris in a position to move up into those positions. Rodrigo Gutierrez not with us this weekend. Hayden Bowlesby, Gabriel Fonseca, Lucas St. John, all single digits away from one another in the point standings. So there's a lot to play for these drivers as they want to try to get into that top 8 and get those valuable super license points.
Yeah, and another point you make, which is there are guys that are scrabbling around just trying to get a budget for one race weekend, and then you get that budget, and if you don't get into the top 10, then you're kind of sort of scratching your head, was it worth the investment for whoever put the money down?
Exactly.
And so, forget the championship for a second, or forget the FIA points for a second. Some of these guys are just racing literally for lunch, and they're trying to just stay in the hunt to get the drive.
Exactly right. This is a cost-capped series. The cars are as economical as they can be built. All of the expenses for the drivers, tires, fuel, all of those things, have to be borne by the teams, of course. But the design of this series was to make it as economical as possible, and so it's still racing at the highest open wheel levels, and it is expensive. There's no doubt about it. And unless these drivers have the personal wherewithal to self-finance their run, they have to rely on the largesse of team owners and sponsors to make it possible for them to do this. And so obviously that's kind of performance related. And if you're not consistently running in the top 10, it's sometimes tough to find that funding. Indicate the fact that we get a new crop of rookies every year. Of the 26 cars on this weekend's entry list, 20 of them are rookies this season.
There you see that incident again taking place at the back. 3 cars involved and all just collected effectively. But yeah, and also as you say, one thing it's worth mentioning though, and that's why we have such a big field, is that F4 is run all over the world, in Europe, in South America, across the globe, in Asia, and yet this is one of the most cost-effective F4 championships in the world.
Indeed. We hear stories from drivers who have competed in other championships and come into the U.S. championship and have lots of good things to say about how well it's run and how economical they try to make it. The whole concept of F4 was dreamed up by the FIA back in 2015 as a step for drivers 15 years of age, coming right out of go-karting, and their first step maybe into full-size open-wheel racing. And the Formula Regional Americas series, which you'll see later this afternoon for their 3rd race of the weekend, is the next step on the ladder. That came along a little later. The F4 US Championship, the one we're watching now, started here in 2016, and then it was 2018 when we kicked off the Formula Regional Americas Championship. And the two have been running together ever since. So looking at the clock on the wall, we've got about 9 minutes left, and we're going to go around one more time.
Yeah, and now it's getting down to a critical time. We've got 9 minutes as they cross the strip. We'll be down to what? Just over 6 minutes, maybe 5 minutes.
Yep.
Which, what would you say, 2 flying laps most?
Exactly right. Yeah. But behind the safety car, it's about a 4 to 5 minute lap. So that's going to count it down. We'll get the drone shot here as we approach the scene of the incident. You can see the safety crews still at work. Sadly, those cars with damaged suspensions need to be lifted up onto the flatbed rather than just towed to a place of safety, as we're going to get a replay of this incident here at turn number 1.
Here we go.
This may be a replay of Maxwell Jameson's
there he
spin
is.
once again. Yeah. It looks like the other 2 cars are finally being taken care of. So
if you've just joined us, it's been a real staccato start to our F4 coverage. We welcome our social media pages from Facebook to YouTube, and of course on the SVRA and Trans Am app. Welcome. This is F4 Americas, and FR Americas, another single-seater championship, the one level above this, will be on later today. John Phippen and myself, Jonathan Green, bringing you the action, and we'll be here all day. There's SVRA to come, group racing from the Vintage Series, and of course 2 big doozy Trans Am muscle car races, and their championship is also on the line, and their penultimate round, they too are going to COTA to finish their championship.
Ernie Francis Jr. with a win in Formula Regional Americas yesterday.
So good.
And it was just his second win on the season, and he stepped out of that car right into his Trans Am car for qualifying.
Well, let's see if we can have a look at and catch people up on what has happened in terms of the crashes. Here's one coming out here. This is Jameson just getting spun round, but unfortunately he stalled it. That caused one. Here's another. And this is in the middle of the horseshoe. You see that car turned around, and then obviously everybody tries to take avoiding action, but not everybody can. And a couple of cars just going slightly wide. And then the final third one is here at the back, between 2 cars at first, and then 2 more cars gathered and taken off, and that's where we are as we speak.
So, as you can see, the clock counting down to about 6.5 minutes remaining in this one. We have a look at the 18 car of Maxwell Jameson at the back of the field, again after his spin. He is a lap down to the race. The last car on the lead lap is Jose in the 17 car. Emily Linscott just in front of him in the 99. But we believe we're going to get the restart this time by.
Yeah, I hope so. That'll give us at least 2 flying laps at least, if nothing else goes wrong.
I've been listening to the race control radio, and the race director, Scott Goodyear, has been on the horn to these drivers, reminding them they just can't go steaming into turn 1 with wheels locked up. So,
now, John, does the Honda Civic pace car get points for most laps led or not?
Sadly, no.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not eligible for points. It's a shame because, unfortunately, in some of these races, he would definitely score in the top 10.
To be fair, he's got the same engine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The motor in the Honda Civic Type R is the motor behind every one of these drivers. The F4 Championship runs without the turbocharger and is detuned even after that to make a maximum of just shy of 160 horsepower. That's mandated in the FIA specification for the series.
Yeah, it's worth blowing that myth. But both the FR and the F4 Championship use the Honda Civic spec engine, which is another price controlling and cost controlling. And these aren't unobtainable engines. They're all Honda Civics that you would have in your Honda maybe at home. But obviously they're tuned and looked after, and they go a little faster than yours because these cars are a little lighter than your Honda.
Exactly. They're manufactured in the Marysville, Ohio Honda engine plant. They do send the race engines out to HPD in California to fit a dry sump lubrication system and an ECU, which is racing oriented basically. But even in the Formula Regional Americas car, which runs with the turbocharger, the horsepower output is identical to that of the road car, just north of.
Yeah.
So they're run, pretty much at street spec. And for these cars, the F4 US Championship cars, they just strip off the turbocharger and detune them a little further to get down to that FIA ceiling of 158 horsepower.
And that also helps on longevity as well. I mean, this is an engine that's designed to last maybe 200,000 miles, and all right, you're pushing the limit of pushing the car each and every race, but like you say, you're detuning them anyway, so you're not really overextending the life of the engine or pushing it to its over limit.
Exactly right. Each of the F4 championships around the world, and there are some 15 of them, each championship can elect their partners for the chassis supplier, the tire supplier, and the engine supplier. And the U.S. Championship, under the auspices of SCCA Pro Racing, chose Ligier North America down in Denver, North Carolina, as the chassis supplier. Hankook is our tire supplier now, and of course Honda is the engine supplier. So these same F4 cars, which run in other countries, might have a different power plant, a different chassis, but they're all built to the same FIA specification. So in theory, they could run
against each other,
against one another. All right, here we go. We do have the lights out on the safety car. We've got 3 minutes left. It's probably going to be this lap and one more before we see the checkers.
Important race for Jason Alder. If he gets the win here, can hold on to this lead, he is right in the point for a championship run at COTA.
He's got his foot in it, and away we go onto the front straightaway once again. Already we can see a car pop out back there for about 4th spot. That's Chase Sheehan. Bryson Morris, I'm sure, involved in that struggle as well.
Yeah, that's tight.
And here they come down into turn number 1. The championship protagonists, Jason Alder, Noel Leon, and Matt Clark, in that order as they work their way through. And we've got yet another crash.
Weir, I think, is one of them.
Yeah, it looks like Christian Weir in the 31 is one of them. 2 of them are going to be able to continue. But the same situation there at turn number 1.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, that grass is really slick.
Got a feeling that they might, with it being the last lap and with them being just out on the grass. I don't know. We'll see. Another car's just gone off from 4th place.
Yeah, exactly. That might have been Ryan
Sheehan. Yeah,
it might have been Sheehan. We'll check it as they come up the hill here. Jason Alder, you can see them beginning to slow down as I believe the yellow flag has been called again. And this one's going to finish under the yellow. Noel Leon, Matt Clark will finish in that order.
Well, Noel Leon can be at least satisfied that, he kept his head and, 2nd place, not what he wanted, but it doesn't do him any harm. Alder has improved and will get a couple of points on him, but in terms of the championship, not greatly affected by that.
Yeah, Leon finishing 2nd with Clark in 3rd. There's 3 points difference between them. There's Gardner. The 33 of Chase Gardner, who was one of the cars involved.
He just recently came into the series. A good karter, and a lot of people talking about him and his prospects.
Yeah, he's out of Prosper, Texas.
Yep, just outside Dallas.
Yeah, 2013 Kid Kart National Champ, 2017-2018 Cadet Kart National Champ. So, but as you can see, the clock wind. I haven't heard from race control whether they're going to show a white flag this time or go right to the checkers as the time is about to expire.
Here's what happened.
You can see, them stacked up as they come into.
Yeah, Gardner got hit from behind.
Yeah, he got collected.
Two more cars following him off. Yeah, it's so hard when sometimes you've just got nowhere to go. It looks strange when you see cars following them into the grass, but it's because they just can't go anywhere else. Clock ticking down then on what has been, in the end, a disappointing race because we really wanted these guys to race with the championship on the line. We really haven't seen that, unfortunately. But ironically, a bit like Formula One, the guys that are the contenders seem to rise to the top.
Yeah, exactly right. So the checkered flag will be shown this time. So congratulations to Jason Alder taking the win.
2 wins this weekend, really impressive.
Yep, and Noel Leon keeping Matt Clark behind him and extending his points lead by 3 points. So it'll be 5.5 unofficially as we head into Circuit of the Americas. I'm going to head down to talk to our winners, and Jonathan, I'll let you wrap it up here.
All right, well, I have to say, a bit of a disappointing start to the weekend for the 3rd race of the weekend for the F4 Americas because, like I said on the pre-grid, with so few points between Matt Clark and Noel Leon, we wanted them to go head-to-head in a race situation. Ironically, they are right behind each other at the end, and Jason Alder 4th in the championship right there as well, and that's done no harm to him. 2 wins on the weekend for the youngster Jason Alder. His fans and friends and family are all here this weekend. I spoke to him yesterday, and he's got his tail up. He's enjoying his racing and certainly on form at just the right time. And there's no question that everybody in this huge field has improved their racecraft as the season has gone on since we started in Atlanta. So the highlights then of F4 as they started down towards the horseshoe. And as they head to the back straight first, it was Joel Jamieson going round and causing a safety car, so he was seemingly under safety. Jason Alder by this point had put himself in the lead. Then another altercation at the end there at the horseshoe. It seemed to all happen at the horseshoe here in the 3rd race. But in the end, as you can see, the other race incident, it was Jason Alder leading them under safety across the line. And more importantly, Noel Leon in 2nd and Matt Clark in 3rd. So, confirmation of the results then, Jason Alder with the victory for Velocity Racing Development. Great team. D-Force Racing in second place with Noel Leone. And Matt Clark of Ganella Racing in third. Bryson Morris getting up the field there to fourth place. A good result for the Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport team. Chloe Chambers, that's one of her best results. Having started from third, she finishes fifth for the Future Star Racing team. Justin Arsenault is sixth. Christian Weir in the end, seventh. Gabriel Fonseca of Kiwi is in eighth. Seth Foley, ninth. And Joseph Danielle in 10th position. Further down, Lucas St. Jean, he had a pole position yesterday. Jake Bonilla in 12th position, just out of the points. That's Hayden Bowlesby, then Arturo Flores, Emily Linscott from Great Britain in 15th place. Jose Andres Martinez from Mexico for D-Force in 16th. Victor Anderson of Sweden in 17th. Ryan Sheehan sadly was involved in that incident, having started pole position. He won't get any points. Chase Gardner likewise involved in that collision at the end there. So the third and final race of VIR's F4 Americas is done and dusted. But of course, we've got a whole day coming up. Coming up is SVRA Group 2's race, and that'll be followed by Group 1, 3, 4, and 5. And we welcome our viewers across all of our platforms this weekend, both the apps of SVRA and Trans Am, and of course, live on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome. We'll take a short break here from Virginia International Raceway, and when we come back, we'll have more action. Stay with us.
There's a challenging spirit within Honda. It gives us the courage to go faster, and the thinking to make it real. Whether it looks like a truck, a sedan, or an SUV, inside is the heart of a race car.
Everything in our garage is inspired by our racing spirit. Race in for a great deal on the Honda CR-V. Only at the Honda Dream Garage Spring Event.
Welcome back as we look high above the VIR International Raceway. Beautiful venue for racing, and it's been a beautiful weekend so far. And we're getting ready for our coverage of SVRA as part of the Speed Tour. It's all wrapped under Tony Perella Holdings, and the Speed Tour involves vintage racing, Trans Am, and single-seaters at its highest level. So quite a eclectic group, but a really enjoyable one, and a paddock that really makes it very interesting to see, you know, the vintage guys who have people like Wally Dallenbach Jr., who's obviously been a multiple champion in Trans Am, to Tyler Casera coming up from Miatas, and then another youngster coming up into Trans Am this weekend, Connor Zilich, and we're looking forward to seeing him, just 15 years of age, and he too coming up that way. And then you've got the other youngsters who come through both F4 and FR Americas. So, quiet before the storm at the moment. Coming up next are group races from SVRA. And like I said, we'll have our feature race for FR later this afternoon. But we've also got Trans Am coming up. Our first Trans Am race will be at 11 o'clock local time here in Virginia. And that'll be TA XGT and SGT GT feature race, a 75-minute race. We then take a quick lunch break and we're back to more SVRA action after that. And we finish the day with two great races. FR, feature race 3 for them. That's the big boys of the Formula Regional Championship with a chance to go to the Super Formula Championship and follow in the footsteps of Alex Palau of Spain, now leading and about to, we hope, take the IndyCar Championship. And, of course, we'll follow that by our flagship TA2 feature race with the championship very much on the line at their penultimate round. A slight breeze, as you can see from the flags down flying there. Ben Sissel doing a good job putting those flags up. There he is, down there on his moped. He'll be joining me up in the comms a little later. Virginia, VIR, a great place to get the RV out, and I was very lucky enough to have a look around one of those very expensive RVs. That'll be coming up later in the day. We'll probably roll that again. And that's where the oak tree used to be. It was struck by lightning, and they planted a new one, I'm glad to say. I'm up in that crow's nest at the top of that building. Hello, everyone. It's a bit noisy up here, I can assure you, when they roar by, especially in some of the SVRA group racings. And, yeah, as you can see, we've got all of our equipment and safety crew down there as well in the foreground, because it's also at the pit exit area just to the right of the shot you're looking at now. So, great location, great venue, and it has been since the mid-50s a place to go racing, and it's been privately owned, it's been open and shut, it's been had a storied history, but everybody loves coming in here, and it's a great place to go track day racing as well, because they've got hotels and lodges and spas and plenty of room. There's about 1,300 acres here, so you can pretty much put out your RV and set up camp wherever you want. You can see these fields in the background, and all of them got a pretty good view of wherever you are. We're looking down on the pre-grid now. That's where we line the cars up before the start of a race. And it's an unusual kind of pre-grid for a lot of racetracks because it's up on a hill. And so it's quite a nice little place to hang out before the start of a race. Just to confirm then, Jason Alder with that win. Noel Leone was second place and Matt Clark in third, and almost as it should be because all of those guys are contenders for the championship. So we've got a bit of a delay, but I'm delighted that I'm not going to have to bore you with my chatter because my partner in crime has just arrived, and he's always got a story or two. So while we've got a slight delay here, let me just introduce my good friend Ben Sissel, who has been beavering about since early this morning, and we'll have a story. I promise you. I almost say this in pure confidence.
Right now. See that shot we're looking at right
I
there?
already mentioned the flags.
Row of flags, okay. And then in this group, we have two competitors. I'm short of breath because I was putting cameras on these cars that are all the way from Southern California. Kim Madrid, Bob Hatley from Rancho Cucamonga. That is an actual place.
And you were saying yesterday they haven't raced VIR, but they really wanted to, so that's why they made the journey, yeah?
Yeah, and unfortunately, in yesterday's race, Mark Giroux dropped his freeze plug and dropped water on the track. Kim Madrid got in that water and spun out. And so she's hoping to finish this race here this weekend. Beautiful here, and I'm just getting word from race control that we've got 1 minute on the grid, which is great. So if you're watching from our SVRA Facebook or SVRA YouTube channel, leave us some comments. Tell us what you want to see, where you're watching from. It's a beautiful day here at VIR. There should be a really fun race here in Group 2. And I hear now that we're releasing cars.
Good.
So I'm looking, do we have the right grid sheets for today?
I have to say I may have let you down because I haven't actually seen them for today.
Right.
But
so in this group, I'm going to just go with yesterday's and hope that I can get as close as we can. All right, there we go. That should be today's then. Okay, so Scott Fairchild in first place in Formula Ford 1978 Zinc Z10. Mark Clark in that Crossley 32F from 1978. Bob Hatley is our first in the PCF class, a 1989 Swift DB3. And I learned from Bob Hatley this weekend. We were asking at Watkins Glen what the P stands for. It's Post Club Ford.
Oh, okay.
So there's Club Ford and Post Club Ford. And the Post Club Fords are a little bit newer. Duke Waldrop in a Post Club Ford 1989 Swift DB1. Gregory Stam in 5th in a Post Club Ford 2000 Van Diemen RF00K. Dave Fairchild, Scott Fairchild's dad, recipient of the Gold Cup along with Scott Fairchild a few years ago in a Club Ford 1978 Crossley. Leo Oddie in a 1978 Taiga. I'm sorry, Dave Fairchild, and then Kim Madrid, 7th. I can't leave out Kim or else she will kill me. In 7th in a Club Ford 1978 Crossley.
Serious stuff, huh?
Yeah, it is. You got to watch out. She's got a temper. Leo Oddie in a 1978 Taiga FFA. David Allison in 9th in a 19 Lexus MK15. In 10th is Christopher Vasquez in a 1978 Crossley 32F. David Thomas is 11th from Wendy's in a 1977 Formula Ford Zinc 10. David Kinsey is in a 1980 Zinc Z16. And Mark Giroux is a no-show. As we look there, that should be Kinsey? That was a question. I can't tell if that was David Thomas or David Kinsey.
You know, it's interesting. Group 2 is effectively 1973, pre-1973 cars, and obviously other exceptions. But you think, when you think pre-1973, you wouldn't have any parts, there wouldn't be many cars around, but it's the opposite. These cars were so well built and actually simplistically built that there are still parts, they are still running, and wherever I've gone around the world, these junior formula cars or smaller bore formula cars are everywhere.
Yeah, and there's still, you know, a huge following of these cars, and there are manufacturers basically making OEM type parts to keep these cars running. And if not, there's enthusiasts that have, you know, the machinery now that instead of making just for their car, they'll make a run of 10 or 20. Even our old tech guy, Rick Parent, would sometimes, when he needed something for one of his cars, instead of just making that one part, he'd make a run of 10 or 20 and then sell them to the other guys in his race group that are running with them.
We had a good run with these guys yesterday, put on a good show. I think VIR really suits these small formula cars because it is a narrow circuit, especially down the back there through Snake and then up through turn 10. These cars, very low to the ground. They're like little go-karts, but bigger.
Yeah, these are lots of fun. VIR is... I can't think of a car that wouldn't be fun to race here.
That's true,
yeah. Come to the green flag. And let's see if Fairchild can duck out front here of Mark Clark.
Scott Fairchild, Mark Clark, Bob Hatley, and Dave Fairchild all ready to go racing here in our Group 2 action from SVRA here at VIR. The green flag waves and the long run down to the horseshoe begins. And a good tight start too, but no change at the front. The inside run by
Bob Hatley. Bob Hatley up
it.
front in the green car takes over from Mark Clark.
Yes,
he is in a Post Club Ford. And this is, again, Bob Hatley's first time to VIR. He said he had a good run yesterday. He did loop it. He told me he did a full 360 and just kept on going. It wasn't a spin and win, but it was a spin and podium, I think.
That'll do. I'll take that. Well, you can't miss that green car, can you? Even through the woods.
Yeah, no, that's a really pretty, and that's a wrap, actually. That's not a paint job. And I was surprised by all the curves and lines that he was able to wrap that. But he came to Auto Club Speedway a few years ago at one of our events with that new wrap. So Fairchild, this is his home track, a really good Formula Ford racer. Doug's out front, which is not a surprise. But the surprise here is Mark Clark giving up his position. There's Mark Clark right there. And then number 5 giving up his position to Hatley right away like that. Now, Hatley does have a little bit of an aero advantage with the newer Post Club Ford on that long straightaway going into turn 1. But look at Fairchild out here.
No!
Oh, this could be a great race, ladies and gentlemen, because he's going to go off here. He's going to have to come back and rejoin. He's doing the smart thing, waiting for the corner worker to guide him out. That is very rare, but it is cold tires for Scott Fairchild. And this is going to heat up this race because now he's going to have to work his way through. And like we've talked about before, now it's Bob Hatley's race to lose. Kim Madrid right there on the back of that group of 4 up front, and if she can duck in behind, because of these Formula 4s, just like any cars here, they punch a hole through the air, and you're going to be faster that way. And there goes Fairchild up the hill, so it looks like he's now going to drop back into about 6th position.
Well, poor old Scott Fairchild, yeah, coming out of 10 and then into 11 and just spun it round. And I think, yeah, just a little bit not fully up to temperature, probably trusted it too much. We'll take another look at it and we'll judge it then, I think. What do you think, Ben? Everything was going well until it wasn't.
Good line. And I'm going to say cold tires.
Yeah.
Just didn't have the grip that he normally has.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Weird.
He did the right thing, though. Looped it around, stayed in the power, put his foot in the clutch, didn't stall it, and got back on the track. So there's Bob Hatley in the lead.
Yep, a 2:16.9 by him, 2:17.5 by Mark Clark. So they're very close in times in that respect. It doesn't really matter because you can see the gap for yourself.
So Dave Fairchild, Scott's dad, is now ahead of him. And Scott Fairchild fell back to 6th, but look for him to really move up. There's Kim Madrid fighting against Dave Fairchild there.
Well, Hatley in that Swift DB3. We did have Mark Giraud, who got the fastest time in qualifying in that Brabham, but he's not out there at the moment. So this is, like you said, opened it up, really. We've got a good battle at the front now, starting to form, and another one for 3rd.
And you can see Fairchild there in the back. That's Dave Fairchild, his father right there in front of Kim Madrid in the pink car. Kim Madrid and that with the deadhead sticker on the Crossley. We love that. If you're a deadhead, I am a deadhead. So there is Dave there.
She's got the mohawk as well.
And you can see the different body styles. It seems like Dave might have a little bit of an aero advantage with his body style there. He is in a 1979 Zinc Club Ford. And then, let's see, what group are we at here? And there is Fairchild just trying to make it up. But the bad thing is he's not in a draft. It's going to take him maybe a lap to get behind Kim Madrid there.
So 69 to 70. Well, 80 is about the most. Well, no, there's a 2000 Van Diemen out there with Gregory Stam. So we go from 69 to 2000. That's a real cross section. It shows you, A, how much they haven't really changed at this level over the years, especially as competitive as they are. As we take a look at the 65.
David Thomas.
Yeah, that's a Zinc Z10.
Here is Scott Fairchild catching up to the group. Let's see, by turn 1, he might be a little closer to Kim to where he could maybe make a move at the uphill S's. But he's going to have to put together some perfect laps here. So there's our leader, Bob Hatley, followed by Mark Clark, followed by Dave Fairchild. There's Mark Clark there in that number 5.
Good-looking car, isn't it?
Yeah, I
I
like the look of the Crossleys.
Yeah. And that's another thing about this form of racing is that the Swifts, the Crossleys, the Brabhams, the Zincs, they've been around forever. You mentioned the Tiger. I wasn't familiar or that familiar with the Tiger before this, whereas the Crossleys, the Zincs and so on have been around, well known. And then you get into Van Diemen's and so on. And like I said, I do a lot of racing in New Zealand, and there's hundreds of them down there. And they too are still running. It's ironic. They don't even call it historic racing. They just call it Formula Ford.
Yeah.
So you can see it from the drone going up the hill again, past the apartments up there, and up to the Truggy section, which is 10, 11, and Oak Tree 12.
It's Leo Oddie there. That 52, 1978 Taiga, FFA. Coming up to what I think is a tricky turn 10.
Yeah, I do too. I think that's the toughest corner.
Yeah. My man, the Sniffler, and his wife are working the corner at turn 10.
You don't even know the corner work.
Well, he's usually our black flag. He's the guy we were talking about, the numbers as socks.
Ah, yes.
So that's the corner workers. That should make some of the drivers nervous.
Dave Allison in the Alexis Mark 15, that all-yellow car. This bright sunshine, you can see the rear wheels turning. I love it.
Ooh, he's getting close.
He's getting there. He's getting very, very well indeed.
So he's past. He's up in 3rd already. We We didn't see how he passed Kim and Dave, but probably on that back straight. Yeah. So now it's Bob Hatley's to lose. Bob and Mark Clark. Let's see what they can do here.
There's the gap. You can see it. So here comes Hatley to cross the line. Second place, Mike Clark, and then Scott Fairchild, who had that spin, is right there in third place. His last lap, a 2:10, so he's on a much quicker pace at the moment, and certainly online to have time to catch these guys before the end of the 7-lap race.
And I'm getting some comments. We have Vivka from Germany, watching from Germany, Medford, Oregon, John Montgomery, Bluffton, Hilton Head. We've got some Hilton Head Island watching us there. Edward Bigda. So leave us a comment on our Facebook or YouTube of where you're watching from and who you're rooting for.
And there's Dave Fairchild, and so it's Scott Fairchild and Dave Fairchild now third and fourth. So he's passed Dad and Kim Madrid. And now, how quickly I tell you what, by the time we get to the back straight, that third place man, Scott Fairchild, is going to be on it, if not sooner. So I think we can see him getting back into ascendance and possibly vying for the lead before the end of this lap.
Dave Fairchild looking good through there. So there's Bob Hatley, followed by Mark Clark. Mark Clark is about to be.
Now this is where he spun, of course. So is he going to be careful? No, he's going to send it.
Mark looks like he's giving him the inside. Scott doesn't duck down in there. He's going to try to make the pass here out of the draft.
Yeah. Get
so
the draft
look for him to duck out to the right or to the left here. He's going to get a little bit closer than him. But now those two cars are faster than Bob Hatley.
Yeah.
So if they work as a team, they're going to be able to catch the leader, and that's probably...
That's not what's going to happen, though.
But that's what Scott was thinking. He's going to stay behind him as long as he can, because with these momentum cars, every little bit counts.
But that was a classic overtake. Use the draft, jink out, and then get to the end and into roller coaster, and he's up to second place. Wonderfully done.
Closing that gap too. He knows this track so well, knows exactly where his brakes are, where he's hitting his marks, and look at this. He's going to get Hatley, I think, here before turn one.
Here we go then. He's going to get it going into Horseshoe by the looks of things, and maybe before, as you quite rightly point out, because they're just coming onto the straight, and now they're already side by side, and they haven't crossed the line. He jinks back into behind Hatley as they cross the line, and here they come. Hatley doing a good job, though, of defensive driving, and here we come, and he's just not quite close enough this time. He's going to have to wait, I think.
I think Hatley might have just a little bit of an aero advantage.
Right.
And Fairchild's, he's smart enough to know that he can get him in the twisty bits, because Bob just isn't as familiar with this track. You know, this is Bob's first time here, and this is Scott Fairchild's hometown race, basically. And the cool thing about this is just the camaraderie in vintage racing. Scott and Kim and Bob Hatley reached out well before this race, and Scott sent them all kinds of information and speed secrets. So now he's kind of racing against himself, because he's taught them as much as he could, you know, with his experience and drawing out maps and telling them how to take each corner.
But that's the essence of vintage racing, and here we are. We're in for the lead now. We've got a great battle here at the front as they come under the bridge and back up the hill. This the race for the lead. Fairchild, having spun round on the first lap, having led, is now vying for the lead again. Hatley trying to hold him off as they come down the hill one more time, and it'll be down that back straight, and I think we'll see another classic slipstream and overtake, and Hatley really can't do much but weave at this point, because he's well, there's nothing he can do except drive as hard as he can. But look, you can see that slipstream. He's right tucked underneath there, and can he pull away?
Looks like Hatley has a little bit more power. That could be an aero advantage.
Yeah.
But look for Fairchild just to wait for Hatley to make any kind of little mistake, or maybe not hitting his mark just right. Fairchild will take advantage of that. I've seen him do it before with Doug Meese here.
Ooh, very close. Very close coming into the roller coaster and down the hill. Coming up is Hog Pen. Surely not going to make a move there, and I think he'll wait for the straight, and he is. He's tucking himself in as they go through Hog Pen, and now on the long run to the straight, he's already looking for a way past. He goes to the inside, now the outside. Now he'll tuck himself back in and try and get the slipstream again and make the move at Horseshoe. But like you say, the straight line speed of Hatley's car is really good. Hatley in that Swift DB3 really getting the drive down the main straight, and so that's going to be a problem for Fairchild if he wants to win this race. This is 6 of 7, so one more lap to go after this, but in a straight line, the number 8 all green is menacing. lucky Happy's pulled away since they came down roller coaster where he was right tucked underneath, and then that long straight, and he's given himself, what, 5 car lengths ahead?
Yeah. We've got a great crowd here at the VIR Speed Tour. I love seeing these shots that, you know, every year we keep trying to grow these events, and they are motorsports that we have here, and love seeing these fans come out. So thank you very much. Christopher Vasquez.
Yes, we haven't mentioned him in the Crossley 32F.
Look at his head leaning there.
From 1978.
Driving this thing like a fighter pilot.
Yeah. Oh, there's no question. Whenever I go karting, I always lean my head. It's almost like you're willing it to be where you want it to be.
Yeah.
And they do say, look where you're going. I don't mean close your eyes. They mean look where you want to be on the track.
New leader.
Yep, didn't take long, and he's got it done before the back straight this time, and I think he had given up on that idea. He knew that in a straight line, Hatley had the advantage, so he needed to make it stick, and he's done it at the perfect time because now he can pull away, and that's exactly what he's done. But I wonder now, towards the end of this lap, whether Hatley will catch back up with him. Here we go, the 8A.
So I have Austin Knight saying that it looked like when he spun, Fairchild spun on that first lap, that he locked up the rears. He could be right there. Well,
it looked like the right rear did lock up, yeah.
That's a pretty car right there.
Yeah, it looks like a Bradley. Onto the back straight it goes. It's an Lexus Mark 15, the yellow and silver. And here he comes to take the last lap board. Now, can Hatley do anything? He was fast down the straights before, but he's not close enough at the moment. He's really going to have to put a phenomenal lap in if he's going to come back. Fairchild going high and wide through the horseshoe. You can see from the drone it's, what, 4 car lengths? And then there's the next battle behind, 3 cars involved.
That's Mark Clark, Dave Fairchild, and Kim Madrid. This looks like the battle to follow. Yeah, let's see. Her goal coming into the weekend was to beat Dave Fairchild. Let's see if she can get that done in about 3/4 of a lap.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good point you just made, which is in historic racing, because these guys race each other each week and they're friends and whatever, they say they don't worry about it. There's no championship points to win. It's a case of, yeah, my focus is that guy. If I can beat that guy, that's my weekend done. And I think all of them set a goal like that. Sometimes it's a lap. I want to get a quicker lap time around VIR or whatever it might be. But everybody's got their goal and everybody's looking to fulfill it. Battle for third.
I need to go turn cameras on for the next group, but I don't want to leave this yet. So I'm going to leave right after because I want to see what happens here. Mark Clark, Dave Fairchild ducks out to the left, trying to get out of the draft.
Yeah.
It looks like he's got it. Yeah,
nicely done. Made that stick. He hesitated for a moment, but once he made it, he was through. Nicely done. So Scott Fairchild heading down towards the finish here. Bob Hatley led for quite some time, and obviously Scott made that spin while leading at the beginning, which made it a little bit more interesting because he had to side his way back to, 6th place at one point, but it didn't take him too long. And as he comes onto the main straight again, you'll see the checkered flag ahead of him, and it will be Scott Fairchild who wins another very fast lap and a well-deserved win for him. Hatley gave up the ghost, dropped off the pace a little towards the end, but still takes 2nd place. David Fairchild says Fairchild affair, father and son. Son taking the win, dad taking 3rd place. They'll both be on the podium. Mark Clark, in the end, holds off Kim Madrid, although she did put up a really good fight at the end there. And vigorously waving to the crowd is Scott. He'll be happy with that. Of Dave Thomas just coming through the line now in that Formula Ford Zinc Z10. And here's that final battle coming towards the line. love that picture of the checkered flag from that angle. Look at that. There you can see how close that finish was. Excellent. And just to confirm the lower places after Dave Fairchild in third place, Mark Clark takes fourth. Kim Madrid does take fifth. Leo Oddy takes sixth place. Dave Allison in seventh. Cristian Vasquez in eighth position. Dave Thomas in ninth. Well, he knows the corner workers. He knows some of the fans out there, and he's given one more away. Check on the results then. Scott Fairchild with the win in the Zinc Z10, and Bob Hatley in the Swift takes second place. Dave Fairchild, Family Affair then on the podium in the Zinc, takes third. Mark Clark fourth. Kim Madrid in the Crossley takes fifth. Leo Oddy sixth. Dave Allison in the Alexis takes seventh. Christopher Vasquez in eighth position. And the Formula Ford of Dave Thomas in ninth position. We'll take a short break from Virginia International Raceway on this glorious day. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Getting the most.
Welcome back to the best vintage series in America, SVRA, the child of Tony Perella, and Tony Perella Holdings, also part of what is now Formula Regional, F4, and of course Trans Am, so all under the umbrella of the Speed Tour. And here we go on that pre-grid with our Group 1, 3, 4, 5B Race 2 lineup. 48 is Chris Domingo in that ever-present, it seems, Malik. Chris, a great character. He and his wife go from race to race, and they've literally been at every race so far this season. Loves racing that Malik around, and it's a 1971 version. And Chris, ever faithful, just as this man is to his racing in the Lotus. John Nash. So you've seen two of our regulars, Chris Domingo and John Nash, straight off the bat. Quite rightly, John flying the British flag because he's driving a British car. Plenty of British cars in here, so I know my sidekick. He is. Oh, he is British, is he, John Nash? Well, there you go.
Nash is why we have the Union Jack flag out there.
Okay, good man. And Darby Quinn is the man we're looking at now in a Triumph Spitfire, no less.
And now that is a beautiful car. And then the man right behind him in the Lotus 7, it's his birthday today. Alan Cassavant. So here they come. Down the grid, Group 1, 3, 4, 5B, and the Miatas.
How are you able to get so many different groups in one race and make it, you know, well, not just competitive, but it, you know, when you hear that many groups, I'm sure, like myself when I first, I'm getting to understand more and more. But it's not an easy thing to do, is to sort of pair these up.
It's not. And so Miatas usually in the Miata Heritage Cup, they have their own race group because usually we have about 20 or 30 of them. But this weekend we're competing against the runoffs at Indy, and a lot of the Miatas went to that.
Oh, okay.
But we didn't want to say no, and so they're out here technically running in our Group 3, but they're kind of in their own class.
I gotcha.
And So it's based on just kind of where people break, and we don't like to have production cars with open wheel cars, but their lap times are about the same. So we're able to group them together because they can safely run on the track together.
Yeah, and like I said yesterday, what I like about this group is it's a big group, but it's also, you know, if you're talking historic racing, you've really got it all here, haven't you? You've got that British invasion to America, you've got that Japanese invasion to America, and then you've got the American kind of comeback to all of it. But it's mostly international cars from Europe, and the odd Japanese come in. But that was, in the day, what raced here. That was what was effective here. So the muscle cars got involved.
Yeah. An American car in
No,
this
not in.
race.
No.
So we'll go through. And
Go for it.
yesterday we did the racers, so we'll talk about that. We've got a 1963 Elva, a 71 Malik. Actually, the Elva's not in there. A Lotus Super 7, a Triumph Spitfire, Lotus 7, Austin Healey Bug-Eye, Mazda Miata, Elva Courier, Datsun 510, more Miatas, an Austin Healey Sprite, some Miatas, an Elva MK4, a Fiat 124 Spider, a Honda CRX from 1990.
Yeah, that's our odd one out, isn't it?
Alfa Romeo Duetto, Austin Healey 100. And I'll talk about that Honda CRX.
Yeah.
That is Logan Maurer. He and his brother Chase are racing an Alfa Romeo with their dad Glenn, and they're kind of going back and forth. But Logan Maurer did our race school at Roebling Road, I believe, in 2019, and has done a really good job of racing with us. And I'd say he's probably 21, 22 years old.
Can I ask you about the race school? Do
Yeah.
you need your own? I mean, do you need to bring a classic car, or can you rate that?
No,
what do you?
you have to have a race car, so it has to have like all the proper setup of a roll cage and all the safety systems. You can't do it in a rental car.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can bring any car. A lot of people just borrow their friends' spec Miatas to come and do that, which I highly suggest because they're tough to really tear up. Logan brought that Honda CRX with us.
And how long is the course?
We did it at Roebling Road, and I think this year we're doing it at Willow Springs out west, and I think we're going to rotate back and forth. So in 2022, we might be at Willow Springs.
And how many days?
2 days.
2 days. Oh, so, you know,
And
it's,
then you
it's,
get a
it's
license
not like
that the SCCA recognizes, all the vintage groups recognize. And we teach where if you went to another school, and nothing against the other schools, Skip Barber Racing School is a great school, but we teach vintage racing.
Yeah.
Where Skip Barber, they teach great racing craft and racing skills, but they don't talk so much about the vintage side of it. And there is a little bit different in vintage racing about just how to overtake a car and the responsibilities that it takes to be a vintage racer.
And the reason I ask is I'm very interested in taking the course, both for learning more about, you know, how to make a car perform. I've raced Miatas around tracks before, but I've had a rally license, but I've never had a race license here in the States. And I think it would be great, especially with no pressure, because I'm not going to start going single-seater racing anymore. Yeah. But this would be a great way to learn the skills in an environment that you can enjoy.
Yeah. And we're looking right there on that Lotus 7. John Nash did our school. And two really close friends on the front row who are neighbors this weekend in the paddock. So I hope nothing goes wrong here on the front row.
Here we go then, nicely clumped together as they prepare themselves for their race. This is our Group 1, Group 3, Group 4 and 5B Race 2 getting underway, and the Malik is off to the races. Pulling quickly ahead of John Nash.
But look at that, our birthday boy, Alan Cassavant in that Lotus 7 tries to get by Quirby, but he doesn't let it happen there. Quinn Derby, sorry I said Quirby, I combined his names. That's his new nickname.
I like it, Quirby.
That's a beautiful Triumph Spitfire here.
Yeah.
In green, and then look for Andy McLean there in that Bug-Eye Sprite, the blue Bug-Eye Sprite.
Another one of our regulars.
Yeah. This is a good group here coming into that hard left hand, then to the right hander that's a little bit blind because of the hill.
Yeah. Had a big IGT accident there yesterday, which put a lot of fluid down, but it took some time to clear up. But all is well again today. Perfect conditions for racing.
Okay, the 510 by Andy McLean. Now in this mixed group racing, that should be a Group 3 car there, and the number 74 of Patrick Crum, 1970 Datsun 510, red, white, and blue. Oh, but look at this, John Nash.
Already.
Quinn Derby. Quinn Derby's doing a really good job by sticking with these two.
Well, the Malik jumped out into the lead. Look how quickly they've caught him by Oak Tree. And now down the back straight, he is somewhat in a precarious position. Well, look at him go there. That Malik really does have some good torque, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's a Group 5 car. 5BFM is what it's categorized at. And then we've got comments from Jared Campbell. Says, nothing beats camping with your son trackside and watching all the action on your phone. Jared, where are you? We'll see if we can catch a little glimpse of you.
We'll send the drone.
Yeah.
Great. Nice to hear some feedback from somebody here at VIR enjoying it.
And using the technology to stay, because if you're here at one of the corners, you only get to see some of the action. So this is the best way to watch the race, because when the cars go out of your sight, you can look at your phone or your device and look at him sawing that.
Yeah, I love it.
The wheel. Those are just such
sunshine.
Skinny tires on. Got a B sedan from 1970 versus what I would consider a more modern spec Miata.
Yeah, just a reminder that, like you say, you can download the app, pay $9.99, and get the whole season as well. But $9.99 a weekend to get all the action from SVRA's app or the Trans Am app. But we're also live on Facebook and YouTube this weekend, and that's how we're getting some comments, which is nice. Yeah, well, however you're enjoying it, welcome, and feel free, like you said, to make a comment, tell us where you are, tell us what you'd like to see, tell us what you'd like to learn about, and we'll go and find that out for you. It's impossible with 300 cars here to have a background on every one of them, but certainly you have got a working knowledge, having been around these guys for many a year.
Trying. Something interesting, the top 3 in Miata yesterday, and I forget the name of the town, are all from the same small town of Virginia.
Oh, cool.
So I thought that was pretty neat.
BMW, Miata, Sprite.
Look at the smile on that Elva Courier right there, that number 59.
That's a pretty paint job, isn't it?
Mark Gobble. I bet you he doesn't like Thanksgiving with the last name of Gobble. I'm sure he hears a lot of dad jokes about that time.
Yeah.
And there's that treacherous turn I was talking about, turn 10. That's where a lot of people get it wrong. A lot of slip angle coming through there. It looks like the number 91. That's hard to tell. That should be Scott KRZ. And he said it yesterday. He was on the podium. So I'm sorry, Scott. I can't remember how to say your name, but in 1992, gray and black Mazda Miata from Midlothian, Virginia. Somebody just texted me. So we've got 3 top Miatas from Midlothian, Virginia. Something's in the water there.
Peter Uzdevenese.
Uzdevenese,
that's it. He's got something flapping out of the back of the car. I don't know what it is. I think it's actually just one of the belt straps flapping in the background, but just behind him, as I noticed, the back shot there.
Yeah.
The number 25. Down roller coaster. Into hot 10. And if you're wondering how some of these corners got their names, yes, there was a hot bend down there back in the day. This is the circuit that's been around since the mid-50s, so it's got a lot of history and a lot of great racing that's come from here.
Got to give it up for Peter Uzdevenese.
Really, see that flapping?
Yeah.
What's that?
I think it's a belt.
Yeah, I think it is.
Started 22nd. Where is he at now?
Well, he's just moved up to 9th.
Just made his place there too as we went over the stripe.
Yeah.
Let's see what we've got here. So Chris D'Amico is ahead, leading overall and leading in Group 5. Then leading Group 3 is John Nash, followed by Quinn Derby, followed by Alan Cassavant, and it's his birthday today. And then in Group 1, we've got Andy McLean, followed by Peter Uzdevenese. And then in third is Todd Cruz. Todd Cruz from Alabama with the Mitch Bressler crew. Mitch Bressler is the mechanic that has set up a bunch of these Sprites, Bug Eyes, and Midgets to be their own little speck of racing. They're all set up, same engine, same transmission, same tires, same suspension pieces, and really close in their racing and very competitive with each other. As we look at 2 Miatas coming in there in the background with that Honda CRX. So we've got some front engine rear wheel drive versus a front engine front wheel drive in that Honda. I just heard from Race Control that they're watching 3-1, which is that Honda CRX that might be leaking some fluid. And there's that Fiat. Oh, and Todd Cruz right behind him. That beautiful number 10 Fiat there. 124. Who is in that car? Let's look down here. Doug Sanders, 1974 Fiat 124. And there's Todd Cruz with Zapata Racing, all the way from just outside of Birmingham, Alabama, about an hour out. He says, I quote, "It's in the sticks."
Where do you live? Oh, it's in the stick. It's in the boonies. It's absolutely gorgeous country right here.
Uh-oh.
What's up?
So I'm hearing from Mandy McLean, who is Andy's significant other, I think. She says, hey, guys.
She thought he was working today.
Regarding the race school, you should talk to Andy and Mitch. MSA Classics will rent you a car to do the race school and provide track support. And they've done that quite a bit.
Mrs. McLean, I'm in.
Yeah. So call Jonathan Green. He might be a customer here. I know Andy brought his son there, and he did the school.
I really want to do it.
Here's the battle. You can see my GoPro in this car right there. There's that beautiful Austin Healey. 1956 Austin Healey racing with V. Carl George.
And by the way, that's what I want to race if I get my license.
Yeah.
That's a harder prospect.
Yeah. And then a 1959 MGA. And a funny story about them, I work with Carl George quite a bit. He's got a really nice set of cars in Franklin, Tennessee. And he sold a yellow Morgan to Roy Crowninshield just a few years ago. And now they're racing against each other.
Perfect.
And then who is in that Triumph right behind him, number 44, like a Group 44 looking Triumph?
Alan Good.
Alan Good, 67th TR4A. And if I'm right, I believe the TR4A was the independent rear suspension in the TR4. So that in 63, I think they moved to an independent rear suspension and made the TR4A. This is my favorite group of the weekend. Probably shouldn't say that since I also work for Trans Am, but the small bore is just a lot of fun. Here we go. Carl George making the pass.
Doing it.
Roy Crowninshield. Now, I was talking to Roy. He was having trouble with his overdrive on that car, and that could be the case. So there's Roy Crowninshield, and then in that blue Alfa Romeo making the pass. This is a weekend celebration of Caesar Cone in that blue Alfa Romeo.
60 years?
60 years of racing. He started here at VIR, and he's going to end it today in his Group 8 yellow Alfa Romeo that we're going to have a big celebration on the podium here today for him. It's going to be a lot of fun. I went to a party where we kind of roasted him last night. It's cool to have so much history, and that's the 230 there of Russell Jones in a 68 Alfa Romeo GTV. Beautiful car. 230 coming around there at the Oak Tree turn. Bend to control. 230 just came around Oak Tree.
So
doing a little race announcing and talking to Race Control at the same time. So the live stream is helping Race Control out as well.
Well, you know, that's all part of an historic weekend.
So Mandy McLean yelled at us last time we were here at VIR because her husband, who is definitely Scottish, forgot to bring me a Scottish flag, so I said that he was from Sheboygan. And then yesterday, Mandy, you're going to be more mad at me. I introduced him on the podium from Sheboygan. But we like
You're mean.
You know, no, it's not that. We just like to have fun together. Well, this is just a big family, and Andy McLean's one of my favorite racers. Just a lot of fun to have around. And his son, I got to brag on him, went to Belmont in Nashville, Tennessee, and is now working in audio production full-time for some really big movies.
Oh, wow, cool.
Doing a great job.
Well, there he is, Chris Domingo, in that Malik heading towards victory by the looks of things. He hasn't put a foot wrong. He was, well, challenged early on, but that challenge went away. And Chris Domingo, like I said, he and his wife, a regular entry to the SVRA, and he always runs that Malik. I saw him running around at Lime Rock trying to find parts for a broken part, trying to weld some stuff before going home before the weekend was over, and he found a way of getting it welded. And that's the beauty of this fraternity that is SVRA. Everybody's helping each other out. That's what it's all about. And that Malik is steaming along here at VIR. This is the final lap then for Group 1, 3, 4 and 5B. Their second race, there's John Nash.
Yeah.
Great to see him working, soaring at the wheel.
Got a comment from Robert Mason that he has an MGA and a Miata that he autocrosses. So, Robert, you should be coming to our race school.
Ben's heading out to get ready for Trans Am. That's, of course, coming up. Looking forward to our first major Trans Am race, which is TA. XGT, SGT, and GT, of course. Meanwhile, Chris Domingo on his way to a fine day out. His second race of the weekend. Didn't win the first one, but is on song. It was Joey Beaujolad who won yesterday, but not taking part today in that Elva. So it's going to be the Malik 11B, the 1971 version. The engine right in front of his nose almost. I said, what happens when the engine goes wrong? He said, oh, that just adds to the fun. Now down on the back straight, he's catching some of the back markers already in the closing stages. He's going to catch that Porsche before the end of this straight by the looks of things. And that little bug eye coming up the hill. So the field very spread out by this point. You've got Malik, you've got Chris Domingo going towards the finish, and then the others. There he comes down the hill through the roller coaster, and then you've got the others. There's that Porsche 914 of John Westberg. It's going to be overtaken as out of the hog pen comes our leader, and quite rightly the Porsche just moves out the way. Chris Domingo will just waltz his way to a checkered flag and a victory in Group 1, 3, 4 and 5B. And I'm looking forward to our next race because we've got Ben in the grid and I've got the mighty Andretti alongside me for the race call. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with our lead up to Trans Am after this.
Getting the most out of your Classic can mean many things. That's why Heacock Classic Insurance is excited to sponsor the Trans Am Race Series. In addition to events, we have proudly provided insurance for race cars, classic cars, and exotic cars since 1989. Heacock Classic is known for its famous agreed-upon value, where brokers and clients find common ground on coverage. So make sure to get your quote today. Follow us at #HeacockDriven. Starting with a very fast straight into the first corner horseshoe before opening up through 2 and 3 through NASCAR, and then it winds through 5 and 6, which is Snake, then up the hill and down again into the very important complex of 11 and 12 at Oak Tree before opening right up down a very long straight, then down the hill again into Roller Coaster and finally Hogpen before opening up again through 17 and that long run to the start finish. Nestled in the gorgeous countryside of the North Carolina-Virginia border, this is without doubt one of the drivers' favorites. Welcome back to VIR, and we are getting ready to go for our Trans Am coverage live from VIR. Really excited because this is the penultimate round of Trans Am 2021. It's been a long, hard season for everybody involved, but as we get ready for Trans Am, let's go back to qualifying and see what happened to get the grid for our TA grid. Let's take a look at what happened in qualifying. Let's take a look at the highlights then of our TA qualifying. Problems for the Breakfast Racing team. No problems for Boris Said in the Challenger, and he will be doing just that, making a challenge to win this race as he always does. Tommy Dreesy will be there. He's got a mathematical chance of beating Dyson, but he needs Dyson to have problems. Dreesy getting a front row start in the Lucas Slick Mist car, number 8. And Dreesy always puts on a good show here at VIR, and expecting to do the same again. But it was all Dyson. Dyson never looked in doubt. It only took him 3 laps, and once he was up to speed, he was untouchable. 1 second faster than the next man, Tommy Dreesy.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's kind of treacherous out there, and after this morning, I felt like I'd forgotten how to drive, but I think the track had just gotten so oiled down. We were back to form this afternoon. The Altwell Mustang, we rolled off the truck yesterday, and it was fast. It was really, really quick, and it was great to be able to put it all together here in qualifying. I'm delighted to be starting this race from the front row and on pole. You know, this is a tough place to pass, so if we can get a good start tomorrow, stay out front, that's the objective, is just try to bring home another one.
Let's head down to Ben Sissel. Have we down on the pre-grid, getting ready for our latest action from TA. Down to you, Ben.
So, a lot of drama here at Virginia International Raceway. We're with pole sitter and point leader Chris Dyson in that Altwell CBD Ford Mustang. And I just heard word from his crew that mathematically, if everything goes right, he could seal the championship here today. We have one more race at Circuit of the Americas in about a month. But mathematically, if everything goes right for CD Racing and Chris Dyson in this Altwell CBD car, he could clinch the championship. Now, I'll tell you, in this Lucas Slick Mist Chevrolet Camaro is Tommy Dreesy, who will do everything in his power to keep that from happening. So, this is Tommy Dreesy here. We've got Boris Said, Ernie Francis Jr., Simon Gray, Ken Thwaites, NTA. We got to get out of the way, Tony. I'm sitting next to you, Jonathan.
Thank you. And Ben, as always, right in the thick of the action. But that is a little bit of drama I wasn't expecting from Chris Dyson. The cool, calm head of Chris Dyson, usually with no such problems. Let me introduce my cohort for the race, as always, a man who's been already this season in TA and raced against Dyson and the rest of them, so knows exactly what's going on out there, and will be in action in TA2, where he is fighting with Matos and the boys to help Matos and the team win another championship, let's hope. But of course, it's Adam Andretti, and Adam, this is not what Chris Dyson needs at this point in the day, having problems just before the pre-grid.
No, absolutely not. No, these are definitely not things you want in your mind as a driver, but also Chris knows this is a team that's been together a very long time. They are truly a family within that team, not in the sense of sharing the blood, but they've known each other for so long. So the trust is there. Chris knows that it's the best stuff that he could ever have underneath him. They're poised to win this championship. I believe if he finishes 6th or better, he has this thing clinched. So that's where their focus is. They're not looking to race. I mean, we're always out there looking to race the race for wins. We are racers. That's what we're here to do. But Chris is a big picture guy. He's worked very hard to get this thing to a championship state. So you're going to see him really drive a focused championship-focused race.
Yeah, and the thing for the others, like Tommy, I mean, Tommy's still mathematically in with a chance too if something were to go horribly wrong for Chris. But Boris Said, really just going for victory. Likewise, Ernie Francis Jr., and they're all good pedalers around this VIR circuit.
Very much so. You know, in 2019, Boris Said drove to a victory here that I was here to watch. It's just an absolute dominant fashion, and so yeah, looking for him to be a spoiler up there for sure. Chris is out there on an island alone this weekend. It doesn't look like he's got a teammate out there with Guy or anything to come help him out. So,
the Masood car was here this weekend, but I just haven't seen him on the
no,
order.
I haven't either. So he's and that's
okay.
Been rare for him this year, but he's going to be fine. But Tommy's out there really. Again, Tommy I think is he knows he has to win. So Tommy's gonna drive in that high fashion that we're used to seeing him drive in. I don't want to say desperate because I don't think he's desperate in any way, shape, or form, but he's going to be taking more chances, and he knows that he can take those chances, and he knows that he can maybe get Chris to check up because Chris is the one that has everything to lose here. On board with Simon Gregg here. It's a good shot getting warmed up, getting some temperature into the rear end, into the brakes, into the tires. He's going to want to attach himself right onto the back of that 98 of Ernie Francis Jr. and carry that way through the race here. The temperature in the cars here. You see Boris getting warmed up there in that Pancho Weaver special there. And you got Ernie Francis Jr., the champ. You got Simon Gregg looking there. Had Kenny Twaits coming through Kerry Hitt. Great gang through here.
Yeah, well, if you didn't quite hear that, he was saying just trying to get up to temperature, just trying to get ready, and good luck to everyone, and thanks for tuning in.
At this point, the stewards have asked us in the drivers' meeting, no more scrubbing the tires. They want so that we can get all settled in. This is tight to the roller coaster there. This is fondly known as the roller coaster part of the track as they're circling through right now. They'll come down the hill here, and after they make these two lefts, you enter into hog pens, which is the final two rights onto the front straightaway. So it's a tight area, but the stewards want us nice and bunched up and to get us a good start here.
Yeah, no question. And this is the time where the nerves start to jangle a little bit. You've been there, Adam, and you're going to be there this afternoon. This is the tough time, isn't it? Boris said, Ernie Francis Jr., side by side. It's really tight, and David Hoots has made a good job of making sure that no one kind of goes to green until he's good and ready, and it makes it just a little bit more exciting. And look how packed up they are for our TA.
He certainly does make sure that we get good and packed up, that we have a nice tight pack there so that it's a good race for the fans getting down into turn one.
Well, listen to that wonderful roar. As Chris Dyson leads the field, Tommy Dreesy will try to pounce. Boris said on the inside. Good start also from Ernie Francis Jr. Nice braking from Boris said on the inside in the Challenger, and he's doing just that, making a challenge as Francis is forced to go wide as we go on board with Simon Gregg just behind this group in the lead, heading towards NASCAR for the first time. Francis Jr. makes a move on Forrest said. Oh, squeezed through there. Nice move.
Ooh, Ernie is racy. That's a move he wanted in turn one, and Boris was like, nope, I am sneaking in here. But I tell you what, that was a bold move, and it shows what kind of grit's between Ernie's teeth right now today.
I don't know if you'd have had a chance, you'd be busy, but Ernie Francis winning yesterday in his single-seater. So he's got his tail up, has Ernie, and he had disappointment in qualifying yesterday. Something wrong with the car, and we interviewed him, and he was almost nonplussed as to what possibly else could go wrong with his breathless racing car, because he's had so many problems. But on board with the leader, Chris Dyson, as he comes down towards the back of the field now and into Oak Tree for the first time.
Chris is looking inspired, and he's looking very comfortable behind the wheel. And then back to Ernie, absolutely. It's so happy to see what he's doing in the single-seater. That's something that was so new to him at the first of this year at Road Atlanta. I talked to him a lot about the challenge that was ahead of him there. He stepped up. He stepped up his workout regimen so that he could build the upper body strength he needs to drive those open-wheel cars. And he's won races now on those things, and that is not easy to do, especially when he's got zero experience driving a car that is completely different from these TA beasts that were on board here with Tommy Dreesy and that Lucas Oil Slick Mist.
Yeah, and these aren't inexperienced drivers he's up against in single-seaters. These are honed ex-karters who are on their way to Indy or F1.
Absolutely, they're kids that's all they've done is open wheel, single seater, vehicles. And Ernie, he's the opposite. All he's ever done is really sedan racing. So for him it just shows the caliber of racer he is, and he always does Trans Am. So proud. Boris said they're in the bright yellow Pancho Weaver Classic, settling into 4th place there, just going to kind of settle. And he's had that mantra in these TA races this year, Boris, is just to save the tires.
Yeah. Well, he did it last year here at VIR. He kind of held his powder and came through at the end very well.
You see Ernie getting really racy up there with Tommy Dreese from the fantastic aerial shot that we're given, coming through. Snake right here on the approach to the uphill S's. This is one of the, as a driver, one of your favorite places to be at in this area is the uphill S's. So fast, almost flat out in these heavy, fast, high horsepower cars, and probably not with the heavy fuel load that they have going on right now, but definitely a great point of the track there.
Yeah, Dreese was trying to concentrate on catching Dyson, but now he's got to think in his mirrors because all over him at the moment and heading on the back straight. Now, Adam, I'll put you in Ernie's position now. How do you go about a pass down here, or is it simple?
Well, he just started right there at Oak Bend. He got a much better run than Tommy down the straightaway. It looks like Tommy's definitely handling well down the straightaway, so to speak. Some good horsepower underneath the hood of that Camaro. But this approach is a really tricky passing zone here, is because to be in the inside in the braking zone makes you in the outside of the right-hander here, as you can tell. So it makes it a very tricky place. Really, honestly, what Ernie's going to set up, if I know Ernie and the racing that I've done with him, he's probably going to set up for a good run out of hog pens here, onto the front straightaway, and a late braking maneuver there into turn 1.
Great start to this race then. Chris Dyson leads them over the strip. Beautiful sounding car as Tommy Dreese still very much in pursuit, and Ernie Francis now in 3rd place is looking for a way to get on level turns if not past. And he's keeping an eye on Dyson. All 3 of these men mathematically with a chance to win, but Dyson could, did you say top 6 could wrap him up, depending on where the others finish?
Yes, I believe if he gets a top 6 finish, the math works in his favor, and he walks out of here, goes into Coda as the 2021 Trans Am champion. And I know this is something that CD Racing and Chris Dyson have personally invested a lot of time and energy into, and this is going to be a very emotional and exciting time for them. This race is getting this back for the 2nd place spot.
Look at this. Now Dreese's under massive pressure from Ernie Francis Jr., our 7-time Trans Am champion.
I thought we were going to see something into Oak Bend here. We might. Nope. No, he's going to mind his P's and Q's. And again, I just don't think Ernie is going to get a toe enough to get a run down this back straightaway. And Tommy is very good. Didn't quite catch what.
Listening in on his radio as best we can. Look at that.
The hood's about to come
The
off.
hood's flapping up. He's in trouble. Because if that flips up at the back straight, I mean, he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. He can't slow down on the back straight, and you never know where he's going to hit a crosswind. He's going to be in trouble again when he gets onto the straight again. But it's loose, isn't it?
It looked like the maybe some of the latches, a latch or two made it come undone. But it certainly is lifting there in the front. You can see right there, it's got. So that right there is causing a very bad vibration in the car too. So what Tommy is feeling is he's probably feeling like something's broken as well.
Right, yeah.
Because that bodywork's shaking around. You got to remember all the aerodynamic pressure that's on these bodies. When those bodies move around, it moves around the whole race car. And you really kind of shake yourself loose.
Simon Gregg racing for the Peter Gregg Foundation this year, a really worthy cause, and doing a great job so far. Trying to stay with this lead group, but losing a little bit of ground here.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing a fantastic job, and all scholarship recipient winners, they're here. They're here at the races this weekend, and they're just a great group of kids. And we've had the pleasure of working with Haley on our race car, and. It's just been really fun to have them around, and what a great way that he's honoring his father there with the Peter Gregg Foundation.
Well, I hope somebody gets a picture for this, because I'd never thought in my career I'd be able to sit alongside an Unser and an Andretti. Welcome, Al Unser.
Thank you. Great to be here.
What's your weekend been like? How's Chloe getting on?
Chloe's been doing great. We had our best starting spot, 3rd, in the last race, and the race before that it was She had the 6th quickest lap, so we improved as the weekend went on. Unfortunately, you know, with all the accidents and stuff, you know, that was a tough race this morning. But with Ernie, we pulled it off with a win yesterday, the 2nd race. So yeah, it's been a great weekend for Future Star Racing and Wings of Wheels Foundation.
Try to give me an inkling, because it's so exciting to be around Ernie at this stage in his career. He's won everything that's possible to win in Trans Am. Where's he going to go next? Where would you like to see him go next? I know I keep trying to find out, but they've got a lot of things up for them.
They're very coy.
Well, hey, you know, I love the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So
okay, we'll leave it at that.
For me, it's the Indy 500 is the thing. So hopefully, you know, he's definitely proven.
The family've done well there, including yourself.
Yeah, it was good. It was proven that whatever kind of car he gets in, he's fast. And so anytime you have a versatile driver like that, you know, they're thinking about it, they're using their head out there. And Ernie, you know, yesterday in the 2nd race of the FR, he started 8th and went and passed them all to win the race.
Yeah.
So that was really, really good.
Well, and it proves how good a driver he is when he's up against the best that America's got in FR, and that's including international drivers who have got a great opportunity to go to Japan if you win the title. And so these guys really are the next Alex Palous, the next Pato Awards.
Yes.
And it really is showing just how good he is. It's not until you actually take him out of Trans Am and maybe put him into that environment and he's taken to it.
I also consider Ernie, he's an old school racer, right? He can hop in anything and be quick. He works on his own stuff. His head's in the game. He's looking towards his future always. I mean, he is an old school racer.
He's physically fit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everything. He's the whole package. I mean, he works well with our sponsors and just he's all around. It's a good family. Ernie Sr. and Monica, they're just a great family.
Guys, just want to pause here. Here's the start again. And Al, you can have a look at it, because great start from Chris Dyson. A thought from Tommy Dreesy, but good start also from Boris Said, Emmanuel Noel.
Yep.
And Ernie sort of almost forced out wide there.
Yeah. Well, he had the inside. Boris had the inside going in there. And so, yeah, you're going to move him over a little bit.
What a move
here
Ernie makes. So Ernie makes a dive there into turn 3. That was just such a beautiful move, because he got that drive out there. I told my nephew came here in SRO, I said, listen, because he was starting on the outside, I said, there's grip on the outside in turn 1.
There is.
And if you just trust that, you can drag them into turn 3, through turn 2 into turn 3, and you got position then.
Absolutely.
And, you know, also, I don't mind starting 2nd here, because you can even get a little bit of a jump on the start because there's a kink. You get a little jump because the kink brings you back even, so you're not breaking any rules.
Correct.
So that they know you're there, and keep them squeezed to the inside.
Absolutely.
And then it makes that turn 1 nice and easy for you.
You proved how well you know these tracks, because at Road America you did an outside move at 4 that I'd never seen it, or at the exit at 4 I'd never seen anybody do.
Yeah, you want an element of surprise is the key in these things. And if you're going somewhere where they're not expecting it, then sometimes that just
especially when they're stacked up, you can make that. You got to have a lane. And so on.
My dad always said, go where they're not.
That's exactly right.
I've got to ask a question for both of you. You've both been accomplished drivers in your own world. But do you enjoy working with youngsters? Or is it
I love it.
Okay, good. Because some drivers don't, because they get frustrated.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a family connection. You have necessarily no connection to a Chloe, for
one
example.
of those frustrated coaches is my dad. Okay, I mean,
that's family.
When he was IRL driver coach there, and when it first began, Dad would get so frustrated. These kids, they tell them to go out there and do it, and they just don't listen to me. They just go out and do their own thing, and you know, I was never that way. My dad said, You need to do this, jump. I jumped. I didn't question anything about anything he ever said. So because he was right, you know. He was right.
Done that.
I've had this discussion with Adam. When you're part of a family that is so race orientated, it must be intimidating when you're not quite up to that level, and you're trying to live after. You know, you're trying to live up to a legend.
You know, it could be. When I first went, I went from go-karts to a sprint car. Yeah, is what it was. So my first professional car racing was a sprint car. And the press, they came in and started asking me about my dad and comparing me to my dad and all that kind of stuff. And so my dad saw this. And I remember that evening he pulled me and he goes, look, I don't care what you do for a living, whether it be lawyer, doctor, whatever. I want you to do whatever you want to. Just the only thing I ask is that you try your best.
Yeah.
And if you try your best, then the best will come to you. And once he said those words to me, I never felt any pressure whatsoever about going out there and doing it. And so I just went out and tried the best that I could be, and the best came to me.
I thought you and Michael did an awesome job in your careers making your own names for yourselves. You know, you were your own champions. You were your own winner.
While we're honoring our fathers.
Absolutely.
I mean, at the same time.
Carrying the legacy on.
That's right, at the same time. And so, honestly, all we did was go out there and did what we loved doing.
Right.
Yeah. I was truly
Ignore
blessed.
the pressure and everybody
That's
talking
right.
about you and the name and all
that.
that.
Yeah, I was truly blessed with the talent and the fact that I loved.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
absolutely.
I gotta bring you. I love talking about all of this, but we gotta talk about what just happened with Greasy. I mean, they literally did major surgery on the car.
It looks like what they did was they pulled. There's an intake area into the air cleaner, and they pulled that off. So that's more like a ram air. So he will suffer some horsepower. But I think what they were experiencing an air packing in there, and that was trying to lift the hood off.
Yep.
And so they're looking for a solution to get him to the end of the race. It may not be the best for the horsepower, but it's going to get him to the end of this race and for this championship battle. Yeah, he's animated in
He's
there,
animated. I'm listening in on the radio. I'm not putting it to air. I'm not putting it on the air because he just said in so many words, it's not as good as we thought it might be. In fact, it's worse.
I think we know he's not having a pleasurable experience, I think it's safe to say. And when you're in there, it's like we always talk about. It's a hot environment. It's a stressful environment. And so you hear the heat. You hear it all come through when things just aren't going right. And he's been watching this championship like slowly slip through his fingers throughout the last few races.
In actuality, it was a good thing that it was done under yellow, so he didn't lose a lot of time out there. He lost a lot of position, but it's still early in the race. He's got plenty of time to get back up through there.
Ernie showing his stuff. He knows what he's doing here. He's showing Chris that he's there, and that the Future Star Racing Mustang is here in the battle now. So this is going to be a great race here. You know, Ernie is at a point now he has to win. This is a must-win situation.
For the champion.
Yeah, so
he's going to risk everything.
Yep, and Chris knows that. So I would look for Chris to be more of like the.
Greasy's back in again.
Yeah.
So this is a really frustrating weekend for Tommy with the championship on the line and also with that sort of looks as though they're going to pull the hood off again, guys. So we'll keep an eye on what happens. Guys, I'm going to leave it to you to see what you see. You have a much better eye than I have.
They're trying to tape it down here. We can see with some of that great 200-mile-an-hour tape that we like to use in this sport. But yeah, you can see the intake is missing off. There's usually a piece a carbon fiber piece right off the front of that air box there that would go into the grill.
Oh, they're going to leave it off.
That's your next option. That's your next option. Otherwise, if that hood flies off, that's going to be.
So, guys, just talk to me about what this must feel like as a racing driver, knowing you have no hood because all the aerodynamics are out the window now. Sure.
I wouldn't say all of it, but it definitely hurts, and he's gonna suffer at the end of the straightaways, but all through these S's and stuff like that, you know, halfway up the long straightaways, he's gonna be competitive. So
let's head down to Ben Sissel.
So here I am at pit lane with Burton Team Racing owner Claudio Burton. You guys came in, you threw this air intake like it was nothing. You were ripping some parts off. This is a very important race for the points. What's the outcome here?
Well, we did a lot of testing a couple of weeks back on aerodynamics. The rules have allowed quite a bit of advancement in terms of aerodynamics, and we try to take advantage of that. So there's a lot of little pieces that are on there that weren't really quite race proven yet, but tunnel proven, and we're seeing a little bit of the consequence of that.
Nice. So do you think what you've done now is going to get him back up to the top?
Well, this is a Band-Aid. With what I saw going down the straight, the oscillation of the front end, there's definitely something that is causing that problem.
Well, you're hearing from the genius Claudio Burton right now. So when he says words like oscillation and things like that, I don't know if I can track it, but hopefully you guys up there in the booth can track it.
Thanks, Ben. Good stuff. And we've just heard on the radio that Tommy's actually, because we're going to keep going under safety, he may come in again, guys.
Yeah, I think that's what he just said on the radio. Have some wrenches ready and be prepared. He also said that he felt he had the car to win today.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. You know, when you have that feeling underneath your butt, and you know that it's kind of your day. I had one of those earlier this year at Nashville where we had just taken the lead and tossed a serpentine belt. So, you know, the heartbreak, that's why we keep coming back to this sport, though.
That's right.
Because it breaks our heart more than it warms it.
For sure. For sure.
You go home the loser much more than you do the victor. And, you know, but
I've always said it's a losing business.
It is.
I had over 300 IndyCar starts. I won 34 of them in my career.
Well, that was good.
That's a losing business in my mind.
Right, Greasy is coming back in, and we are going to green, so he's going to lose out big time here. The real shame.
Yeah, let's see what they do. He might want to try to get that hood back on there.
Well, certainly been a busy day.
They're going to get up underneath it now to see what's if there's any pressure showing underneath. Splitter looks like it's on there strong and not having any kind of issues. We had the same thing in the TA2 car earlier this weekend where we had a structural break in the nose.
Really?
And
okay.
it vibration like you wouldn't believe, and you think the whole thing's going to fall apart, and the car doesn't handle right because you're taking the pressure in different areas away, and you're stalling the splitter. But so it could be a true handful for those at home.
That hood could be a structural piece for that front end right there, because I saw him push on it, and it's definitely moving with the hood being there. It would have been solid.
Yeah, and they spring in the TA cars. They'll spring load the front ends so that if they go off track, it doesn't destroy the splitter.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of gives a little bit of give too. So I think that's what was also moving the hood, that maybe one of those springs has failed, or maybe one of those struts has failed as well in the front, though. But good eye there on the structural idea of that.
Well, it's all work here at the Dreesy camp, and there's been a lot of, after a really good start, poor old Tommy's been really in the wars, but it seems like week in, week out, something is going on with the Burton team.
Yeah, it's just been, unfortunately, the last few races have just shown some struggles. You know, they had a tire failure at the top of the S's at Watkins Glen and got away with one there, because that could have been really a destroyed race car, and it wasn't. And, so they've just had some rough luck, and it just seems to continue here today. And as you heard from Claudio, I think, you know, they're trying really hard to win a championship. So they went and spent some time in the wind tunnel. They spent some time doing some aerodynamic testing, and I think they came here with some things that they found, and when put into the reality of a draft and tucked into balance, it might not have just worked out like they had planned.
Yeah,
Adam, I've got to get a quick line from you before we get the restart, because we're about to go racing again. But I'm looking from Simon Gregg's point of view, which you've been there many a time with Boris Setter ahead of you. What's it like racing Boris Setter? I would have thought tough times.
You think that Dodge looks wide? It's 3 times wider than what it looks. No, Boris is a classic racer. You know, he's very difficult to pass. He doesn't want to be passed. None of us want to be so, and he's very good at making it wide. And he's one of the late breakers too.
He's extremely savvy.
Yes.
Lots of experience, and very, very talented man.
Yep. And what would you be telling Ernie if you had the chance to be on the radio with him right now for this restart, Al?
You got
go,
nothing.
Go.
Perfect.
You've got nothing to lose.
Oh, and here comes Boris, though. It's a good restart from Boris in the Challenger in the Dayglow yellow. He comes alongside Ernie Francis, but Francis quite rightly gets into the middle of the line and makes sure he closes the door.
Kerry hit on the inside of Ken Thwaites there, too, making a good battle back for 5th.
Greasy's still stuck in the pits, but the race continues, and Ernie Francis Jr. all over the back of Chris Dyson, but Dyson trying to forget what's going on behind him and get on with his race and win this title.
Driving the Dodge like I have for ECC, you lick your chops for restarts because of the torque.
Yeah.
The torque of the Dodge, you're so pumped for restarts because that's when you can really take advantage. And you saw what Boris, the jump, that he was able to get, because that thing just has such great drivable torque.
And what about the straight line speed?
You know, the horsepower advantage, I believe, goes to Ford. You know, the top line advantage, aero-wise especially. The Mustang cuts through the air better. But Kerry Hitt over there at Advanced Composites, they do such a great job at equalizing these bodies. And that's why we've seen the splitter adjustments, the dive planes come into effect this year on the front end of the cars, because it's all in an effort to make these as close as possible. You know, that's kind of the balance of performance that they have in the TA class. Being an open class that it is, they really work on the aero side, and Kerry does a fantastic job, him and his team over there at Advanced Composites, to make that happen for us.
Well, the team discussing, that's Burton's team discussing what's happened to Tommy and trying to understand how he could get in this situation. It's still not looking good, though, Adam. You wouldn't be comfortable out there with this.
No, it's vibrating in the front end. You can tell that's in the nose. There's something structurally wrong up there in the nose, and that's causing his nightmare, unfortunately. And I'm telling you, it shakes your whole body. Your eyes, you can't hardly see. I feel for Tommy. It's a tough situation he's in right there.
Well, we've had plenty of drama here, and we've still got 51 minutes to go. We've also got the SGT Championship. We'll keep you up to date with that as it gets underway in terms of competition anyway. It's already underway, as you can see, because that's the 55 of Milton Grant trying to make a move on the Audi just ahead of him. Lee Saunders back in the saddle, as it were, the former champion from last year. But what a battle this is. The Audi just squeezing through again.
That was that move you just talked about earlier. Yeah.
Nope, you can hold that outside.
Yep.
The old Harry Hyde. If you go to the outside, it can hold.
That's true.
But yeah, great GT battle back with the Audi and the Porsches. The Viper stretching its legs there. This is a great horsepower track for something like that Dodge Viper.
I think that's why Lee Saunders has come back. He knows that the straight line speed of that Viper down that back straight is his huge advantage here. And if he can make it work through the corners, then he's really not going to have a problem. And he's proving it.
And for our yellow that we had out there, it was for Matt Budston. Matt Budston had crashed.
Right.
So it was hard to get that information. We didn't really see what had gone on the track, and we were, two-time Indy 500 champion shows up in the booth here.
Yeah.
I distracted you.
Yeah,
guys.
we're going to get into talking about some fun stories. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, Andretti, I've got one for you here. You hold the record as one of the only drivers to have raced all three marks to victory.
Yes.
And Mike Skeen's got his eye on doing the same.
Yeah, and I hope we stop him. That's something that's something I like to have solely. But
I can put some sugar in his carburetor if it'll help. But
no, I think it's good for Mike. I think it'll be good to see if. For obvious personal reasons, we got to do everything we can to stop him from winning in that Dodge, because we need Rafa to be in front of him. We want Rafa to seal up the championship here today. We want to go in Dakota as with Peterson Racing as 2021 TA2 champions, and Rafa is focused. I can tell you this morning he is incredibly focused. He is in his game. He is ready to go, and I think we're going to have a great TA2 race. We got Connor, the youngster, Connor Zilich up there on the pole, and what a phenom he is, and so excited to see how time in a big full body car.
Are you aware of this story, Al?
I'm not. No.
I got to tell you, think about this. This is a kid from Mooresville, down the road, North Carolina, 15 years of age.
15. Okay.
Been karting internationally. Got a bit of help from Mike Skeen in terms of coaching. Took the track record in his first outing yesterday.
Wow.
Beating Mike Skeen and Rafa Matos. And this man here.
Yeah. No,
he's on pole.
Yeah, wow. That's a great job.
He's a name to watch.
He's
a name to watch.
You betcha.
And I told Connor this earlier in the weekend. Congratulate him on his win. Tommy, unfortunately, coming out of the car here, and this is heartbreaking. You can see it in his posture, right?
Yeah.
This is. Yeah. Hands are up. Lucas, always the promoter.
Absolutely.
Lucas slick missed, and
he's a showman till the end, that's for sure. And what that means is, with Dreesy out, you've pretty much got to think that Dice has now got the title.
Yeah, he needs to finish 6th to clinch this, and so Tom, I tell you right now, Chris is sitting there with Ernie in his mirror. If Ernie does anything to show a nose, knowing Chris, it's not going to be an ego battle. He's going to go ahead and let Ernie let Ernie have a go. And but yeah, this is a sad sight here, for Tommy to be out of the car talking to the officials. But look, I mean, making the man laugh here. So this is typical Tommy Dreese, and he'll come back and he'll come to COTA with just one thing in mind, and that's to go win a race in COTA. Right. And for Lucas Oil, Lucas Slick Mist, and Forrest Lucas and his family, who's such great supporters of our sport. And,
and I would think that Chris is just being nice to the equipment, nice to the gearbox. If I can stay in front of Ernie, that's great. Right. I mean, we chase those race wins.
Yes.
And so, he's thinking about winning the race, but also being good to his car and not taking any risks with that. If in fact Ernie does get close enough to make a move on him, I'm sure he'll just let him go. Because I'm sure the team has let him know that Dreese is out.
Now, what's happened here to Simon Gregg? He's pulling off as well.
It looks like it's broken, yeah. So this is a bad day for Burton Racing. Yeah, rough day for Burton Racing.
Yeah, very rough. So Simon Gregg also out of this race and heading back to the pits.
Did a great job of getting off track and making sure that we didn't, lose.
Yeah.
So really, that's a professional right there. That's someone who's been doing this a long time, like Simon.
You'll like this story. Andretti did the same at Brainerd, but he didn't realize he'd gone off track and managed to get himself on the drag strip in the middle of a drag race.
In the middle of a drag race.
Head on a live drag strip, yeah.
Well, that's the track's fault. They shouldn't have had that for you.
Hey, you're right. I stood by that. Your excuse is the same as mine.
It made for great TV, I can assure you, because I spotted it immediately and went, what on earth? Andretti's on the track strip.
And to your point, Al, is you can watch the difference in the driving. Chris is not touching a curb, and Ernie is blasting over every one of them. Ernie is out there just trying to get and
driving his heart out.
Chris is like, this thing needs to finish, and I just need to come home.
Yep.
Let's head down to Ben Sissel. He's got Tommy Dreese, and I'm sure Tom will still have a smile on his face.
Well, this is heartbreaking. Tommy, we talked to Watkins Glen a few years ago when you couldn't race because of a health issue, and you were so close in the championship. You're so close in the championship now. What happened?
We've just been fighting this aerodynamic problem with the front end at quite a few races, and we usually get it pretty good for the race. We're always pushing the envelope, trying to do new aero stuff, and they worked till midnight last night trying to fix it because it was a problem in qualifying. We did a low 45. That didn't even show I don't know if we would have hit that 44 flat, but we were like a 44.3, and then we get in the high speed stuff, and it just shook like crazy. And they worked on it. We thought for sure we had the problem solved. And I go out. We go out. We start the race. It was, I almost got into Dyson at the Oak Tree because I could tell he was struggling, with the. Cold tires, and I think we had the car today. Everybody always says that when they're out, right? But I know we had the car today. I know we at least had a car to battle with Dyson.
Well, Dreese, hold on. Let me get a little bit awkward. Would you mind going up and joining them in the booth with two-time Indy 500 winner Al Unser Jr. and give some of your commentary and your insight? Would that be okay?
If they get the car fixed, I might have to go back. But if not, I'll be up there.
Dude, thank you, Tommy. It's third floor, right up there. Thanks, Tommy.
I thank Lucas Oil, my family at home, Burton Racing. We all try the best we can. Lucas Oil, my family at home, Lacey, Jagger, Elin, Mama, I love you.
Nice. All right, back to you up in the booth, guys.
He hasn't got time to come in the booth again. He did that last time at Watkins Glen. But a great character, a great showman, and just great to have around, Tommy Dreese. And I have to say, the championship may be over, and I can officially say that now, that Dyson will take the championship because of that incident with Dreese. But, Adam, you have driven against him. Al, you've been watching it. This is the best I've seen out of Tommy in a long time.
Tommy is in his game, absolutely. We were joking the other day. I said he's a bit of a late bloomer. He's definitely come into his own as a driver, and this is the best I've seen Tommy drive in his entire career. And that's why you're really, it's a shame to see the result like this, but he's going to come back next year, and he's going to be, again, another one that everyone's going to have to watch out for. And there's going to be some, there's rumors that I'm hearing throughout the paddock that we're going to have another, famed chassis builder coming back to the Trans Am paddock, and with more cars and more talent, and I think it's just going to make this series that much more exciting to tune in for 2022.
And now, what do you think of Trans Am? Because it is a bit of an enigma. It's been around. You know all the names. All the greats have raced at Trans Am at some point. And even people like Boris said, who've done it all, from sports car racing to NASCAR, you name it. But it just keeps attracting good drivers.
Yeah, and that just shows the growth of it, and it also shows the competitiveness of it. You know, any series at this level, you start getting in there, it's tough to run the top 10.
Yeah.
And so it's only when people, man, those cars look cool, they sound cool, they're fast, I want to do it. And so that's really what's happening here, and you know, they've done a great job with it. Yes, it's got a lot of history to it. Got to move.
He thought about it.
Trying to use traffic, trying to use traffic, and
Ernie's trying. Look at this, he's trying.
Well, there's no question that Ernie wants to win this race for a different reason. Yes, every racing driver wants to win the race, but he's won a single-seater race yesterday. Could he win a stock car race today? Wouldn't that make a little mini record in its own way? So I don't think that's
he would love that for his social media. He would absolutely love that, and his fan base would love it. We would, you know, and the whole bit, and he could. I mean, he's. I could see Ernie going in Oak Tree, and he's like, oh, no, I don't want to hit you, you know. And it's one of those real tight moments where he had that great run because of traffic. But, you know, a little bit of a mistake from Chris there through hog pens might give Ernie a run down the straightaway here into turn 1. Because Ernie's been very good on the brakes into 1.
It looks like Chris.
Too much distance,
it looks like Chris pulls him down the straightaway. I've noticed, you know, that last lap, Ernie had a good run coming off of Oak Tree, and he also had a good run coming out of 17 there, and Chris just pulls him down the straightaway.
Yeah, no question.
That's why I'm sure the teams are looking at this going, how can we get our car down the straightaway quicker?
Yeah.
The aerodynamics program, we got to up the game to make that happen.
Always pushing it. Always. That's what I love about racers. We're always finding the solution. Solution-based business.
You made a comment about the Camaro, the Challenger being so good with torque off the corners. What about what are the attributes, if you will, of the Mustang? Where's the Mustang good here? Okay.
They make a lot of power right at the top, and so these, like the tracks like Watkins Glen, VIR, these last 3 here, Coda, where you know, Coda can lend itself to the Dodge. I want to race in the Dodge at Coda in 2019, and because you're stop and go so much through what Adrian Newey calls the tiddly bits, right? You know, through that stadium section, and so that was really helpful for the Dodge. But where we would lose to Ernie in the Ford there at Coda was definitely down the straightaway. So you know, they got great top end in the Ford. The Chevy seems to be a really good all-around package. Has great bottom end, good top end, and the Dodge really smooth drivable torque. And Lee Saunders, you rim ride.
The Viper?
Yeah, the Viper is always.
It looks an unwieldy car because of the size of the front of the car, but obviously there's a big old engine up in the underneath it. So you know it's got straight line speed. You think it's unwieldy in the corners?
You know, it took Dodge a long time to get the Viper to not be so evil. You know, it was a venomous snake for a very long time. But in the latter part of the generations of that car, it not only became a great and formidable GT racer, but a road car with much better manners than the early generations of it. So, and then you have the classic Porsche, you know, the 911, which is obviously just one of the all-time great race cars. The Audi R8. You know, again, for the GT style of things, that's a great race car to drive. I'm sure those are fun too, because you know, air conditioned and they got all your creature comforts, right? You got analog brakes, you got some, you know. So, but it's
good stereo.
Yeah,
listen to the radio.
It's a great way feet wet into pro racing in that GT class, because it's not the maintenance of a race car, right? It's a maintenance more of a road car, and it doesn't require, you know, the talent of personnel that you need to have, you know, spinning the wrenches on a true race car.
Yeah, no question. Al, I want to pick up on what you said. You do enjoy working with the youngsters, and we got off sidetracked a little bit, but I can also see Adam being really good at that kind of thing. But I mean, you know, you come in and it's intimidating. They find out who you are. They look you up on Google and they go, oh my gosh. And then they look at the family history.
So that could be intimidating for a driver, but what are the first things that you fundamentally want? And you've got two drivers in Ernie, who's been there, done that, got the T-shirt.
Right, that's right.
And then you've got Chloe, who's a kid. She's 16,
right.
Although very aggressive and very already independent. So how do you deal with that? You're really dealing with people. Racing is one thing. You're dealing with two very different people.
Yeah, with Ernie, it's more about reminding him about, this could happen going into one on the start. Be ready for the starts, the restarts, all that kind of stuff, because he's got so much experience.
Yeah.
So it's more about reminding him to be patient and not get overly excited and that sort of thing. With Chloe, it's much more about teaching the fundamentals of get your line down. Get your braking points set before. I know you want to go fast, but in order to go fast, have your line proper, your braking points proper, and just build up to it. Again, take your steps of speed small and incremental, and so that you don't overdrive the car, because that's one thing that the kids do more than anything is overdrive the car. And so, and then you just work with them, and at certain corners they're having problems in a certain area or whatever, and then you just dissect that and take it apart, and then try to help them with you might want to enter here and exit here and so on, and then go out and try that. It's more about, with the younger kids, like with Chloe, is going and testing, and getting away from the pressure of the race weekend and get out there, on a Wednesday or something, and just practice.
Here's another good story. Ken Thwaites, we're on board with him now as he comes towards Oak Tree. But Ken Thwaites was the XGT champion from last year, and he's now just taken to TA like a duck to water and really doing a good job. He took a sabbatical away from racing for a while, but ever since he's been in TA, I don't know what your thoughts are, but...
Yeah, he's definitely stepped up and done a great job in the TA car. I know he's having a lot of fun in it, and you got to talk about him being like he's Mr. All-Around Trans Am, right? He goes from the Audi and the GT car. He goes from that to the TA car here, and that he acquired from my boss, Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
And then he goes and he buys himself a TA2 car. And he runs Nashville, for Franklin Road, because the TA cars weren't going there, and he's having so much fun in it.
Yeah.
And they're testing that and learning more about that. So we're gonna see a lot of Ken Thwaites around the Trans Am paddock, I believe, here in the future. And what we don't want to see is this guy up here in the booth, Tommy.
Tommy Dree. Oh, Tommy. If it wasn't for bad luck, you wouldn't have any.
It's been pretty tough this year. We've had some catastrophic failures. The one thing that's been bugging us is this aero with the nose just flopping around, and it happened in a few races this year. We try, they're always pushing to try to figure out how to get better aero on the cars, a little more downforce, and whatever happened in qualifying, in practice I kind of felt it. They looked at it, did some stuff to it, tightened it, whatever you got to do, and then in qualifying, we didn't show our speed, but it was just rattling a lot. So they stayed up till midnight last night fixing it, and it just got worse for the race. The start of the race was great. We stayed ahead of. I thought Boris was for sure going to be right there, but now I got a great start, and I almost hit Dyson in the where the Oak Tree used to be. So I said, "Wow, this car is working good." Coulda, woulda, shoulda. I think Dyson, and the whole team, they showed. This year that it's not just it's the driver, it's the preparation, it's the team, and these guys have just been rubbing on that car. So Burton Racing, they work hard, and looks like Ernie is. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Tommy, while we're watching this, keep an eye and see what you see, because you've been out there with these guys all season long, and I'm just intrigued to hear what you say about how Ernie and Chris are going to take this on.
Yeah, Chris is good on the high speed stuff. Ernie's got this little talent that you have to have with Trans Am, and it's the little short quickie bits rotating the car.
Yeah.
And when you see him in 3, 4, 5, 6 combination, if you're 4 or 5 cars ahead of him, he's going to be right on your butt for the S's, and he will put his nose there. You know, if you look at Dyson on the high-speed stuff, he'll pull away about 5 car lengths, and then Ernie will get him back over there, and that's going to be a seesaw for him. That's going to be tough for Ernie to get by him.
And is that just set up?
I think it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I can tell you that he's right in that. In our FR car, Ernie's really good at the low-speed stuff,
right.
Even in our car.
Okay.
And so it's not. Yes, it is set up because you have to have the car to have the grip, but it's also how you attack that left rights and the low speed, putting the power down, all that kind of stuff.
I think I think most good drivers, most drivers that are up there, we can all do the high speed stuff. The aero starts coming in, you get that rhythm going, and you start flowing, and you get that rhythm. But when you get into that quickie bit stuff, there's a talent there of being able to rotate that tire with your brakes and trailing and throttle on, and that's setup and driver. Ernie's a little talent. I watched him run that F race yesterday. It started in 8th, and I hate rooting for the guy because I compete against him. but I mean, I started whistling. I started going crazy, and somebody saw me. They go, "Tommy, are you?" No, and I actually was, because he's a little talent. Those guys work so hard with not much. And so this is a great race going on right now, and I'm sorry for sorry for myself. I'm sorry for my sponsors and Burton Racing. I know they do the best they can with what they have. So we were fast today, though. See, look at Ernie.
Now, this is when it gets interesting, because John Boken's ahead of both of them. Oh, did get in the way a little bit there. That will have stalled Dyson's drive out of that last corner. And if Ernie's going to get a drive, oh no, don't tell me smoke's coming out here again. No! And he slowed down.
No, he's not going to slow down.
He had some weird little rear twitches there down the straightaway, so like an axle or something.
Malcolm did a good job there to just scoot out the way like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, John's a former TA driver, so he knows what it's like to come up on a GT car and have a GT car hold you up.
Yeah, he slowed right down. I think that's Ernie's quest to try and get Dyson is over. A little bit of pop out the back. Now, this is the thing, that twisty, that sort of rear end, he's had that before this season.
Yeah, it's that poor group just feel like they've gone through it all this year. They've had so many mechanicals. The Watkins Glen, 2 weeks ago. And to be for both of you guys to have been fought to the championship valiantly right here.
He hit. He got into Dyson, I think.
My word!
Oh, and Baucom checked up.
Oh,
he had to check up Baucom. What we didn't see when we were on board. We were on board with Chris. He probably got into the back of Chris because that was tight. Oh.
That would have scared the heck out of Chris, given the championships on the line.
Yeah.
That is not good.
I just want to say thanks to everybody at Trans Am, Perella, and the Green Light team, and you guys really elevated the series this year. I'm sitting here with an Unser and an Andretti. No big deal.
I'm sitting here with an Unser, Andretti, and a Dries.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. But, it's like, wow, people are coming over, and for you guys to come in here. And Andretti, you've been driving your butt off. And, I think that if Rafa wins this championship, I think everybody knows that you were there to help him the whole way. And
I think it's time to make the announcement, Tommy, that you're bored of TA and you want to get up to TA2 and take on Andretti again. Is the Lucas Slick Miss ready?
Dude, I love driving with Andretti. He's balls out. I mean,
is that a technical term?
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna get off this radio.
No, you're fine. Hey, we're on the internet. Go for it.
No, I appreciate the kind words, and I could tell you, as Rafa's teammate and being a part of the Peterson Racing crew, that's Rafa Matos and Peterson Racing.
Yeah.
Rafa is,
but it's the whole team.
Is a phenomenal driver. He's best teammate I've ever been paired with. Yeah. I'm learning, and he's an open book. He's
such
there.
A good guy.
Yeah, because he wants me up there. He's an open book. He's, Adam, you need to do this. You need to do this. I need you here. This is where I need you. And
that's good.
So he's one of my biggest cheerleaders over there too. So just the whole group over there, from our boss Douglas Peterson, all the way through Chris Seibel, who manages the team, and then everyone that comes in on the weekends that gives their all, and our engineers and the whole group. It's a well-gelled group and organization, and they deserve everything they're getting because they definitely, and everyone, everyone out there, we're all working hard. But at the same time, what I've witnessed since Mid-Ohio, since I joined the team, has been nothing more than what I would, it's exactly what you would expect. And it looks like this is a retirement for Breathless, and that's a shame. Hate to see them drive back to the truck. And Chris Dyson right now, he's loving life, isn't he, Tommy?
He's on a roll, man.
Tommy, while I got you, though, it might be the end of the year. We'll get Alan in a minute. But I made a comment earlier, and I've been making it for the last couple of races and asking other people, because I don't know you as well as some of the other racers do, but from watching you in the 4 years I've had here, you have your year this year, you've been, yes, you've had, mechanical issues, but your driving has been the best I've ever seen you do.
Yeah, they keep getting younger, and I keep getting older, but I think when I was young, I think I was I grew up playing competitive basketball, and there was a whole nother mindset to it. And a lot of people say, it's physical ability, it's drivability, it's talent and stuff. But the one thing that I always lacked was this focus. And I think as I'm getting more mature, my focus is getting better, and I'm able to talk about the car more and let the team maybe, instead of driving around problems, give better input to make the car better, to help me as a driver. And I got to say one thing, Willie T. Ribbs, a great friend and a great driver and a great person, got his little star walk of fame
Yes, he did.
at the Long Beach Grand Prix this weekend. So much love to Willie. And
congratulations to him.
Let me pause for a second, because Ben is in the pits, and he's picked up Ernie Francis's dad.
So I'm with Ernie Francis Sr. They were having some great match racing out there with Dyson, but then he came in with some obvious damage. Do you know what happened?
From what he told me, I guess he was just taking his time behind Chris and just taking time to try to wear him down a little bit. And coming up to some lap traffic, I guess they're not watching where they're going. And they stopped really hard, I guess, in front of Chris. Chris locked up his brakes, or something happened there, and Junior had nowhere to go. And I guess he went into the back of Chris, which knocked out our oil cooler, transmission cooler, power steering cooler. So there was nowhere to go, but it just happens. I wish some of these guys would just watch their mirrors and move out of the way when these cars are coming up.
You can hear the obvious frustration. Ernie, let me ask you, can you send Junior up to the booth to announce with Al Unser Jr.? Maybe give us some commentary on what happened out there, if he's up for it. I love asking the awkward questions. Gentlemen, back to you in the booth.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, I hope you realize that this booth is only, 10 by 10. I don't know how many more drivers, but I'm loving it. Bring them in. But, guys, obviously there's a lot of drama going on here, and that impact was scary both for Ernie, because the last thing he would want to do is be the reason for the championship. But here it is, guys. So Bochum gets out of the way. He realizes he's in the way and then tries to come to the right. They think he's going to the left, and then suddenly Ernie gets into the back of Dyson as they accelerate.
Yeah, it was on the exit of the corner, and Ernie was just expecting Chris to just take off. So, yep.
That's a darn shame. And yep. We're here with 6 laps to go, and before we get to the draw of the race here, I got to admit, I've started the book.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, yeah, because also did John's book, Racer.
Yep.
My brother John and my late brother, and Jay does great work, and so obviously
yes,
I know so much about your story because I grew up, but to read from your eyes, and I'm only a little bit in. I'm really early right now. You're talking. I'm running karting to sprint cars right now.
Okay.
But tell the fans a little bit about the book and the project and how that went.
Basically when COVID came and everybody went on lockdown and stuff like that, and I didn't have really anything to do, so I said, it's time to, because I haven't had an autobiography kind of thing, and so it's time to do it. So I'm just going to do it myself. So I took this online author school thing. I got into it. I got a few weeks into it, and I'm going, and I got all my Post-its, and I'm doing all this kind of stuff, becoming an author, right? and I got into right about the '89 Indy 500, And I just went, you know, this is too important. This story's too important to leave to a beginning author, right? And so, you know, the only one I could think of really was Jade Gers, because he did such a good job on John Andretti's book and The Beast. Yeah, I've done some work with him on The Beast with the Mercedes engine.
Yeah, such a good book.
So I contacted Jade. I go, Jade, I need help. and so we went from there. We went to Octane Press as the publisher, and it's just telling my story just as raw as it could be, the truth, and in everything, you know, the racing, my personal life, you know, what's it like raising kids, being a family, and being on the road so much, you know, throughout my life, and you know the pressures of the Unser family, you know, and what that was like going up to Chama and snowmobile racing, and we would be snowmobiling, but then they would turn into races. And so
we know a little bit about that in the Andretti side too.
Exactly. And so we just, you know, and so it brought me up to you know, this point in my life where I'm helping the kids and giving back, or giving to the kids what was so freely given to me. You know,
that's well put.
With where I was born and all that kind of stuff, and I'm just trying to pass on all that stuff, you know, and racing with Roger, racing with Rick Mears, how much Rick Mears helped me, and I went into Penske Racing as an IndyCar champion and an Indy 500 winner, and working with Rick was just super. Yeah. I mean, he helped me a lot, and so I just wanted to share everything like that. You know, there's just several different stories. It's hard to come by. You know, Pocono 500, 1985. I had a broken leg.
Yeah.
And I didn't have radios, and I was the first one that ESPN wanted to talk under yellow. Okay, I was one
Tommy
of the
knows all
very
about that.
first ones, right? And so they asked me, and I go, well, as long as it's under yellow, I'll agree to it, you know, kind of thing. And so we ran like 120 laps. My radios went out right away in the first part. And so we were using a signboard where they'd ask me a question. A closed fist is no, an open hand is yes. And so there, how's the car, you know, do you need front wing, yes or no, a lap later, you know. And we're working this whole thing, and it's doing great. And there wasn't a yellow until like a lap 120 out of 200. So we're more than halfway through this Pocono 500. And we have this yellow, and we're going along, and then all of a sudden, hey Al, this is Larry Newberg. It scared me to death because I didn't I hadn't heard anybody for an hour and a half.
You're like, where's he coming from?
And all of a sudden, hey Al, this is Larry Newberg. Can you talk to us? I pushed that button and I went, oh my God, I can hear you. I mean, you can hear me. I mean, get that radio down to my guys right now, like that. and so they did, okay? I thought, okay, what they did, he goes, yeah, we can do that, but will you talk to us? And I said, well, sure, yeah, okay, go ahead, as long as you get that radio down to my guys. He goes, we will. Okay, so then he says, I hear Dennis Swan, and then what they used the TV on Dennis Swan, my crew chief, and so Dennis Swan was talking into the microphone on the TV. All I heard was Dennis Swan on the radio with me, so they got, and he's asking if he wanted to change my left front, because I had the same left front on all day, and I go, yeah, it's cool, change it, you know. And so the race starts again, okay, we go under green. All of a sudden, Johnny Rutherford, about 3 laps into it, Johnny Rutherford spins, hits the fence in turn 1, and under that yellow, it starts to sprinkle, okay? And so when the yellow first hit, I called into the pits, Dennis, do you want me to pit? And nothing. Crickets, right? So I thought I was back in communication. Crickets, nothing. So I go, okay, well, I'm going to come down just in case. I'm going to come down to the pit. So I'm leading the race, okay, coming down pit lane. I get to my crew. They're all waving me, go, go, go. You're not supposed to be in here, go. So I throttle back up again, and Rick Mears passed me because he stayed out on the track. He passed me. We're now under yellow. It's starting to sprinkle. And I push that button. I go, Larry Newberg, are you there? He goes, yeah, Al. Yeah, we're here. And I pushed it again. And I called him every name in the book. You cost me this race, you such and such and such. I didn't let go of the button for a lap and a half.
Oh, no.
I went horse. I ripped him a new one from all of that's in the book. And these are the kind of stories that are there.
I just want to remind people we're listening to Al Unser Jr. We've got Tommy Teresi here in the booth. We are watching the action as you are. You're not missing anything, but we are getting some great stories. That book is coming out.
October 1st.
October 1st.
Yeah.
What's it called?
A Checkered Past.
A checkered past. Perfect.
A checkered
past. I love it.
It's got all the truth. It's got my downfalls. It's got the good stuff, everything, and it's the truth.
And that's what we appreciate about you, Al. That book, I think, is going to do so much good for anybody that has some of the personal struggles that you've gone through and have been open about and have overcome. You know, and everyone in the community is incredibly proud of what you've faced and overcome and think the world of you always have, and you're a great champion, and nothing will ever change that.
Thanks.
And then one last little spot, you know, how's the boy? How's he's doing real estate out in New Mexico?
Yep, little Al. My kids are doing great.
Kids are doing good.
Cody,
Cody?
She's working on her foundation. All that's doing good. Helping veterans with disabilities. Shannon, my little starving actress.
Yeah.
She's getting some gigs now.
Good.
So she's good. And my youngest little Joe, he's doing the skateboarding thing, the snowboarding thing. I mean, he's everybody. The one thing about it, my mom and dad, their spouses, my children, everybody's healthy and they're happy.
That's all you got.
They went through COVID without getting COVID, and so I'm just thanking God and truly blessed forever.
Yeah, Wanda and my mom are great friends, and
that's right.
You love your mom to pieces. You know, one of the I remember when she used to do all your apparel and run your apparel and things.
She sold the T-shirts and the hats and all that, and she loved it.
Yeah,
traveling to the races.
She always hooked up a kid with little Al gear.
Well, listen, guys, I want to reconvene this later.
Yeah.
Because we've got a race here.
We got a last lap.
We got a last lap.
Yeah.
Chris Dyson, obviously about to win the championship. We've also got, I tell you what, Lee Saunders. Ken Thwaites is in third at the moment. Lee Saunders is fourth overall, but leading SGT, which is pretty impressive, given that he's not been in the championship all year.
Right.
He's got Milton Grant behind him. Paul Fix is there. Cary Grant as well. Kerry Hitt is down in 8th position. But let's just talk about what this means for Chris Dyson. Both yourself and Tommy know him well, but Adam, having raced against Chris, knowing another legacy family, like the Andretti's and the Unsers, the Dysons have also got their name in the history books. What's this going to mean to Chris?
It's going to mean the world to him. I'm so proud. I'm proud to call Chris Dyson a friend. I'm proud to call the Dyson family friends of ours. They're just great people on top of everything else. Amazing human beings. They care about others, and to see the rewards come back. This is going to be so special. The emotions that Chris is going through right now, crossing this finish line.
There it is, checkered flag.
Yeah, that's a great day. That's a
last lap, final lap now.
There we go, final lap now.
But carry on.
But yeah, so he's gonna be. It's gonna be emotional for him. You know, he's a guy that wears those on his sleeve proudly. You know, if he's upset, you know he's upset. If he's happy, you know he's happy. And I think we're going to see the extreme emotion of happiness out of Chris Dyson when we get to victory lane with him.
It's all about bringing it home now.
And you guys have both mentioned this, being an Unser and an Andretti. He is also following in the footsteps of a very successful racing driver. Not an easy thing to do.
No, it's like we spoke about earlier, making the name for being yourself and making the name for yourself and driving doing what makes you happy is what the ultimate goal is for us. You know, we can't. No one is ever going to be Andretti again. No one's ever going to be Al Unser Sr. or Al Unser Jr. again. No one was ever going to be Bobby Unser.
True.
Jerry Unser. No one's going to be these people again. So to try and be someone that you're not, it's definitely, you want to be authentic. and that's what everyone wants to see. And Chris is authentic to himself and his driving. You know, he does things that his dad never did, right? His dad never did Trans Am. His dad never did sprint cars, never did Silver Crown cars like he does.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so Chris is definitely his own man. He's done the prototypes like his dad, and he's been very successful, but he loves this raw race car. He loves no traction control. He loves the limited amount of aero. He loves the fact that you have no ABS. Yeah, like Tommy's just saying, they're the best cars. These and TA2 cars are the best modern race cars we got going right now because they are still raw, pure, like they need to be.
And Chris Dyson will come onto the main straight and take the checkered flag, and more importantly, the 2021 TA Championship for the Altwell CBD sponsored Mustang. And we're getting a round of applause quite rightly here. Boris said the mighty Boris will follow him home. Not a bad accolade if that's the guy you're beating. My thanks to Tommy Dreesy, who I wish was out there, but he's going to win at COTA for us. We know that. We've had the wonderful interaction between Adam Andretti and Al Unser Jr., and it's fantastic to have them on board, and we are privileged to have both of you involved in our paddock in different ways. But I have to say, perfect guys to have, with Chris Dyson winning the championship. A last comment from both of you.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure being up here. It's great to be with you up here again, Al. And
likewise, Adam. And again, I just want to reemphasize what Tommy was saying about Tony Perella and his group. They've done wonderful things for the Trans Am Series and even the SCCA Formula 4 and FR races. I mean, it's an honor to be with him and helping him and being a part of this series.
Very well said. Very well said.
I want a last comment from both of you, but let's go down to Ben. He's in the pits with the latest.
So here I am pit lane with the new champion, Matt Charlin, team manager, Dyson Racing. How does it feel?
Oh, it feels great. Chris did a really good job this weekend. Yeah, we've been fast right off the truck all weekend. You know, he's done a great job, and I'm real happy for him.
Nice. Hard-fought championship. I know that you and the whole Chris Dyson team, Rob Dyson, if you're watching, congratulations. That's got to feel so good. Such an emotional, like, roller coaster season, but to win the championship, I know you've been fighting for it for years. How does it feel to do it, even with one left?
It feels great. Chris, you know, we really kept the car together this year for Chris, and he's done a great job. It's really awesome.
So will we still see you at COTA?
Yes, you will.
I love it. See, Chris Dyson, always the showman. He's going to show us up at COTA as well. Back to you guys up in the booth. Congratulations.
Thanks, Ben. Great interview, as always. I want to make a quick last point to Al, because we haven't mentioned it. We've been talking about the good old days. You are very much involved in today's days with the Future Star Racing and obviously Ernie Francis Jr. and Chloe Chambers. I have no doubt, you mentioned that Ernie might make it as we take a look at the results. Chris Dyson, Boris said, I'll have to wait for that. We got some stuff to do first. Chris Dyson first, Boris said second, Kent Waits in third place. Lee Saunders leads and wins for SGT. Milton Grant takes second place. Paul Fix in third, a former Trans Am man and still going very strong in SGT. Cary Grant and Kerry hit Ernie Francis Jr. sadly pulling out of that. John Bokum obviously in that incident as well finishes 10th. But a quick comment, I know that Ernie Francis Jr. will make it to the 500. What about Chloe? I want to see more women.
Yeah, we'll see what Chloe does. Unfortunately, this is our last race of the season, and so we're gonna go home and back to Indianapolis. And Mark McAllister and Laura McAllister, the owners of Future Star Racing and the Wings and Wheels Foundation, and we're going to assess our first year of racing, which is highly successful. We've got 2 wins so far with Ernie Francis. We have had our struggles with the F4 car, with Chloe and so on. And so we're just going to go back and we're going to regroup, we're going to reassess, and then we're going to decide what we're going to do going forward. Congratulations to him.
What a moment.
To win a championship, it takes a whole team to win a championship.
Amen.
And it takes a full year. The commitment that you have to do, the struggles, the sacrifice.
And it all drops off you at this moment, right?
That's right. It all floods in and so on. So congratulations to Chris.
Well, listen, Al, it's a pleasure to have you on board, involved in this series. You can come up here anytime. Tell us about your drivers. Tell us what's going on. I want to hear about the book. I want a copy, signed.
You got it. You got it.
But thank you for coming up.
Hey.
Look after those youngsters and make them into champions as you guys were. Let's enjoy this. Adam, I want you to tell us a little bit also. Thank you, Al. I want you to tell us a little bit more about what this must means for Chris Dyson. Really, really impressive. I mean, lights to flag and hit from behind, mind you. And the member at the start, pre-grid, he was in trouble.
Yeah, he did not have a drama-free day. So that even makes it more gratifying, you know, when you know that you've escaped all the little things that could go wrong, that could take that championship away from you. He was able to escape those today, and that's something that is not easy to do. And you know, this is a huge day for him, a huge day for Ken Thwaites.
Yeah.
You know, this is not his first podium, but I believe this is his first podium in TA that he gets to celebrate on the podium. Like his last podium, I believe, was inherited after a post-race infraction was found, so that gave him the podium. So he didn't really get to celebrate and spray the champagne, the Prosecco, if you will. So he's going to get to go up there and do that this time, and that's going to be a beautiful thing for him. And then, you know, Boris said he's used to this. I know that is not the day that he was looking to hunt down for a win. So I'll be interested to talk to Boris to see what kept them away. But this is all about Chris Dyson. This is Chris Dyson's day. This is CD Racing's day. They won this championship. They won it hands down. They fought valiantly. And this has been like 3 years in the making, as you know, Jonathan.
Yeah, well, let's head down there to the grid and see if we can join Chris Dyson, because obviously it's his time to celebrate. He is our new TA champion.
Well, Johnny, just like you said, here I am. The celebration can start for the new champion. What an honor it is to announce, we think, Chris Dyson as the new TA champion. Chris, how does it feel?
Well, it's fantastic, Ben. What a relief. You know, we fought hard all the last few years, just came up short. We've had a tremendous season. We had a lot of breaks go our way. And, you know, God willing, it held together today, and we were able to be up front and dominate, which is a great way to win it. Yeah. And, you know, I've got to thank everybody, my family, my dad, my wife, and everybody who supported me, my crew. Just a tremendous effort from everyone this year. Greg Pickett, my dear partner at Altwell, and thank you so much, guys. It just means the world. It hasn't quite set in, Ben, but it's a profound relief to finally get it done. We can go to Texas now and have some fun.
Nice. And the road to a championship is really tough, especially in TA. And I think I've said this before, but man, as soon as Altwell CBD came on board at Sonoma, your trajectory just went to the moon.
You know, when you think about the way this year went, you know, with that last lap win at Sebring, it's just been one amazing turn of events after another. And this year, you know, everything lined up and behind us. And you know, we've had some, you know, obviously some competitors who had the same kind of fates that we had the previous years. And that's the beauty of TA, is that it's a total team effort. You know, the car's got to hold together. You've got to be disciplined out there. And you've got some seasoned, superb competition at this top level. This means the world to me. I mean, this is one of the most prestigious, oldest running series in the United States. You know, to add this to my IMSA championships and become a Trans Am champion, it hasn't set in yet, but it's a dream come true.
Nice. Chris Dyson, congratulations. Let's go talk to some more drivers, if you don't mind. Can we, let's try to get, hey, Boris, Paul Fix, anybody, we got a W over here.
Let's take a look at the highlights then, and Chris Dyson getting a good start, and Simon Gregg just behind this group, but Boris said not getting the start he wanted. And then Dreesy, how about this for a moment? Suddenly the hood starts shaking, and of course they had to bring him in. They took some drastic surgery to the car, trying to get it out. Meanwhile, Lee Saunders was in a great battle. Milton Grant, Cary Grant, but Lee Saunders coming back in that Dodge Viper, which he loves. And how about this? Ernie Francis Jr. now behind Chris Dyson with Dreesy out. Bochum gets in the way. That meant that poor old Francis just hits the back of Dyson, but does no damage to Dyson's car. But Dyson goes on to win the championship in style. Let's head down to Ben again. He's got Boris.
For Poncho Weaver and this prototype. We just were missing a little bit today, and that was a little disappointing because usually we're real fast here. We've won the year before. I shouldn't be dissatisfied with second, but I kind of am today. Just weren't really, I didn't have anything for Chris Dyson today. So we'll go back to the drawing board and we'll get him in Texas.
Nice. Poncho, what do you got for the drawing board?
Well, we can't tell you that. We're just going to have to wait and see. It's going to take a little time, and I'll tell you, we've got a great effort here with Boris. We sure appreciate him, and we'll have a lot of fun.
Nice. And somebody I want to mention, Paul Fix, come in here. Paul was with us at Watkins Glen and had a bad off there, I think lap 1 at the toe of the boot, the exit of the toe of the boot. But not to give up. You couldn't fix that car, so here you are in an Audi. What was that like?
Yeah, GT4 Audi by Ave Motorsports. Tony put a great car underneath me today, and it was a different type of driving because I'm used to the big cars, and getting passed by all those guys is different. So it was a great run, great place to come and race. I've been racing here for years and years, so it was fantastic. Competition was great, and couldn't ask for a better day.
Nice. I love it. Paul Fix. And then if we get the Peter Gregg Foundation kids in here, let me get this. I don't see Haley yet, but come on in here. Come into camera, guys. I know we've got Terrell, right?
Yes, sir.
So tell us about this Peter Gregg Foundation. I saw that you two were working with the Burton Racing. How was that this weekend?
It was a great experience. Someone that's a part of a lot of drag racing stuff. It was just a new experience about everything. So just really, grateful for Simon and the Burton Racing team for having me. But it was a great time.
Perfect. Well, I have to go back up to the booth. So Jonathan, take it away. Simon Gregg Foundation student Simon Gregg, thank you so much.
Great stuff, Ben, as always, and also getting everybody in there. Simon doing a good job today. Sadly, not finishing the way he wanted. But let's turn to our Chill Out Systems Quantum Cooler moment. And, of course, it has to be the man of the moment, the Altwell CBD Mustang of Chris Dyson. Under pressure from the start. At the pre-grid, he had problems. Then in the race, there was also the issues of holding off the hard-charging Boris Said and Ernie Francis Jr., who almost took him out by hitting the back of him. But luckily, it was only damage to Ernie, and Dyson was able to continue. And by the way, it would have broken Ernie's heart if he was the cause of taking Dyson out. They're good friends and good combatants, too, when it comes to racing hard. That was the moment there. Bochum trying to get out the way at Oak Tree, but really not being able to do so. But in the end, it wasn't a problem. Dyson is our new champion of 2021, and I'm going to say that he takes, without doubt, the Chill Out Systems chill out moment for this weekend. Adam, I'm going to leave the last word to you. You've raced hard against these guys. Quick comment on what this, again, means to Chris and how it finishes nicely going into COTA for the final round for everyone.
Honestly, me personally, I wish I knew what it felt like for Chris because I've never won a championship. I've been close, and I know what it feels like to be on the heartbreak side like Tommy dealt with today. And I think, Chris obviously is feeling those emotions that we talked about earlier. You could see it. You could see the pure joy. You could see almost the relief, too. It's like having 50 pounds lifted off your shoulders, I imagine, to win something along those lines for him and for his team. And Ernie, this is the first time in Ernie Francis Jr.'s career in Trans Am he's suffered the heartbreak of a championship season. Every year that Ernie's been competing in Trans Am, he's won the championship. So, Ernie's this is the measure of the man, and we all know what kind of man Ernie is. We're going to see him bounce up and move on and do great things, and we're all excited to hear what those announcements will be. But Chris Dyson will prove to be a fantastic champion for the Trans Am Series. What a great name to have as a champion, and I'm looking forward to seeing him carry that banner all year next year for this series.
Good words. You're listening to Adam Andretti, who will be in action in the feature TA2 race very soon here this afternoon at VIR. I'll let him go and get ready and go and get his race face on. My thanks to Adam coming into the booth. My thanks to Al Unser Jr., whose book's coming out in October, Checkered Past, and, of course, to Tommy Dreesy. We'll be back with more racing from VIR. We'll take a short break. We'll be back soon. Thank you.
As you can tell, I like to go fast. Our race team is really well prepared. We like to look good, but we also like to dress good, and that's why we shop at Franklin Road Apparel. I own the company, and I wear the clothes that we sell in that store. So check us out. We carry all the top brands: Baldwin, John Barbados, Billy Reed, Goodman Brand, and on down the list. So come see us, Franklin Road Apparel, Franklin, Tennessee.
Speed, endurance, desire. For 160 years, Motul has helped engines and drivers go faster, further, and stronger. Tested in the heat of battle, driven with passion, with one aim: to give you superior powertrain protection and performance. Motul.
If your tooling isn't quite ready, and you need parts, and you need more parts than just a few, or if your run is just not that big, look to the experts in low-volume production, 3-Dimensional Services. Whether it's 10, 100, or 1,000 parts, we can meet your needs. And if it's 10,000, we can do that too. 3-Dimensional Services delivers high-quality parts for short runs, 70% faster than industry standards. 3-Dimensional Services. Prototype, production, proven.